hero. Just as countless souls celebrated the chief's illustrious achievements, in a secluded basement, Han Li donned a pristine white suit and a brand new, pure white mask, standing at the railing. Beside him were Joseph, Ling Han, and Cui Hao, all similarly attired in white suits and adorned with distinct white masks. Han Li gazed down upon the multitude of gathered members of the Angels, a collective of those who had grown disenchanted with the organization's sordid ways and had withdrawn. Now, Joseph had summoned them once more, for the former angels had been irrevocably transformed, and a new angel was rising. This was the leader who would guide them toward a novel future. Ladies and gentlemen, I harbor a bold ambition, Han Li proclaimed. The throng of returning angels murmured amongst themselves, speculating about the reliability of this youthful new leader. As Han Li emerged in his immaculate white suit, leaning on the railing, he declared with fervor, "I possess a daring vision." Instinctively, the assembly leaned in, eager to hear his forthcoming words. Would it be a scheme for immense wealth, smuggling, or perhaps a rise from rags to riches? Numerous conjectures flitted through their minds. However, Han Li uttered words that rendered the crowd aghast. "I aspire for City C to be solely under my angels." What audacity! Such grand ambitions were rarely voiced, even by the previous pinnacle of the angels. It is crucial to recognize that City C is home to various factions engaged in the smuggling of contraband, each a formidable adversary. No one can reign supreme alone. Yet here was this youth, harboring such aspirations, truly astonishing. This is the leader I envision. It was about time. Initially, Joseph harbored concerns regarding Han Li's ability to sway the members with his new position. However, as Han Li delivered an impassioned speech, his voice resonated with an unusual penetrating quality, reaching the hearts of all present. Ultimately, as Han Li lowered his arms, the crowd erupted in exuberant applause. Very well. Let us commence the cleansing of the refuse. A tempest of bloodshed and turmoil would soon engulf City C. Armed with intelligence from the former boss, Han Li meticulously compiled information on rival factions and swiftly relayed it to the chief of police. According to the compiled list, he would methodically settle accounts with each faction. In Han Li's eyes, there was no room for even a grain of sand. Thus, the stage was set. In City C, it seems that each day brings shocking news of the downfall of a certain power. This elicits both astonishment and curiosity, as it appears that behind the demise of each faction lies the intervention of a mysterious organization. Who could be the mastermind behind this? Is it not enough to send the police chief of City C into a frenzy? Alas, it has been said that the angels have been vanquished. Yet this newly emerged angel raises questions. The leader of the Wild Dog Gang, notorious as one of the three major criminal factions in City C, sat in his vehicle, cursing vehemently. His gang is notorious for human trafficking, particularly targeting children, making it a haven for traffickers. Fear permeated his voice as he spoke. Rumor has it that the boss of this new angel is exceedingly enigmatic, eliminating factions with alarming ease. Consequently, he hastily gathered his belongings, intent on fleeing City C, believing that as long as the Green Mountains remain, there will be no shortage of firewood. Rest assured, we are already far from the borders of City C. His secretary interjected. Even this new angel cannot catch up with us. Furthermore, with our numbers, would he dare approach? The secretary glanced out the window, observing a convoy of several luxury cars, each occupied by fierce gang members. If he dares to come, he will surely meet his end. Indeed, the leader sighed in relief, picking up his tablet to scout for new trafficking opportunities. The journey was smooth, and they were on the verge of entering another city's territory. It seemed that fate had spared him this time. However, he wondered why the roads were so devoid of other vehicles today. His secretary, puzzled, had scarcely voiced her thoughts when a thunderous roar erupted, reverberating throughout the road and commanding the attention of everyone in the Wild Dog Gang. The leader's left eye twitched, and upon glancing back, his complexion paled. Behind their convoy lay a dense formation of nearly 100 vehicles, a dark mass that exuded an overwhelming presence. The cacophony of engine roars sent shivers down the spines of the Wild Dog members, inducing a near-cardiac arrest sensation. Meanwhile, amidst the throng of vehicles, Han Li sat in Ling Han's car, casually toying with a butterfly knife. At that moment, his camcorder, which had been off, sprang back to life. The director of the program received Han Li's message, and excitement coursed through him. What is happening, director? Han Li is going live to combat the criminal forces. The director exclaimed, his fists raised in triumph. This meant that the enigmatic figure everyone had been speculating about was finally ready to expose the truth. The viewership would be unprecedented. Which show has ever broadcast a gangster obliterating another gang? It was unimaginable. Han Li would be invincible that day. Immediately initiate the broadcast. Let City C. Indeed, all of Huaxia witnessed this live. In the broadcast studios across various cities in Huaxia, the scene suddenly shifted. A man donned in a white mask and dressed in a white suit appeared on screen, leaving everyone utterly bewildered. What was happening? The feed had changed. Who was he? It appears that all the live broadcasts are solely featuring him. Who on earth is this person to have such prominence? The audience is baffled by the production team's decision to focus exclusively on this one contestant, leading to a surge of outrage. However, their protests ceased abruptly upon witnessing the convoy following Han Li. The viewers in the live chat erupted in astonishment. What is happening? In just one day, has our Han become a mob boss? How many subordinates does he have? Good heavens, Han is rallying his followers. Reports are streaming in from S City. Reports are flooding in from C City. Our Han is on the rise. In no time, those familiar with Han Li began to inundate the chat with comments. All curious as to why he was not wearing a Peppa Pig mask, but rather a white mask resembling that of an angel. Furthermore, they were puzzled as to why such a vast number of vehicles accompanied him. It was then that a netizen stumbled upon the updated name of Han Li's livestream. Upon glancing at it, he was instantly taken aback. The chat exploded. Brothers, something big has happened. Quick, check out the new name of Han Li's livestream. What? All netizens promptly switched to Han Li's stream to see the updated title. In an instant, the chat fell silent. Soon after, the entire internet erupted. What on earth? Angel boss? Is our Han truly becoming the godfather of the mafia? Could this angel be the same one who was previously apprehended? It seems so. No doubt about it. It's official. This is going to soar to unimaginable heights. Could it be that Han has been the mysterious figure assisting the police in dismantling criminal organizations these past few days? For heaven's sake, I'm utterly terrified. If this is true, Han, your ancestors must be smiling down upon you. Han Li declared, I announce that the angel is under my command. Police Chief? Black Cat Sheriff, it seems I've been outclassed in your absence? Even the slowest of minds began to sense something was amiss. As the members of the Stray Dog Gang fell into a state of panic. Damn it, does having numbers mean anything? Run. Hundreds of vehicles suddenly accelerated, responding to the boss's command, while the new members of Angel were filled with adrenaline, ready to charge ahead. For the sake of a better society, hand over everything. For Han, a sea of dark vehicles surged forward, dwarfing the Stray Dog Gang in comparison. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Yi, who was preparing to encircle the Stray Dog Gang, received astonishing news. Bad news. Hundreds of vehicles have appeared, suspected to be part of a gang, advancing with great intensity. The good news is they are allies. They are heading straight for the Stray Dog Gang. Upon hearing this news, Li Yi and his fellow police officers were left in stunned silence. Chapter 116. I, Han Li, am a trafficker of human beings, acting on behalf of justice. In that moment, the police were somewhat at a loss. What does it mean for a gang to strike against another gang? On the other hand, Han Li, in his vehicle, spoke with great interest to his camera. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this performance. The roar of countless vehicles reverberated through the streets. In an instant, the atmosphere elevated dramatically. The live streaming rooms across various regions erupted with excitement. Oh my, darkness shatters darkness. Everyone, come and witness this. The godfather of the underworld is about to showcase himself. Is C City in chaos? My brother Han will decide. Brother, will you take me as your son? Goodness, is he truly a contender? I have a feeling he genuinely is. The netizens went wild. Can you believe it? A contestant from a production team has ascended to the high ranks of the underworld godfather. And the most astonishing part is, he is also combating evil forces. No matter the city, this is explosive news. The director of the production team gazed at the ever-escalating viewership of the live stream, overwhelmed with excitement. My goodness. It's a record-breaking moment. It's hard to fathom that Han Li, within such a brief time, has shattered the popularity record set by the notorious Criminal Q. And at this moment, in terms of popularity, Han Li undoubtedly reigns supreme. All the staff of the production team watched in shock as Han Li suddenly amassed over 100 followers. Their faces turned pale. Meanwhile, the residents of C City who were watching the live broadcast were left in utter astonishment at the multitude of vehicles in Han Li's live stream. It felt as though, in that moment, they would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Damn, I can't hold it anymore. Could all these cars belong to Han Li's followers? What do you think? Soon, the public erupted in fervor. This individual is terrifyingly powerful. If it was already incredible that Han Li had annihilated the strongest team in C City, the Black Hawk Group, his image as an invincible figure in the eyes of the common people was now unshakable. Thankfully, Han Li was merely playing a role, otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Dog Lord gazed at the advancing army behind him, his breath almost hitching in his throat, his face ashen. Damn, is he insane? Doesn't he fear the police chief? However, when he witnessed the police chief retreating and not daring to intervene, the last shred of hope in the Dog Lord's mind vanished, and his mental state began to unravel. This guy has the world under his thumb. Damn it. Let us go all out. The Dog Lord wasn't one to back down. Since it was a fight to the death, let us see who has the stronger fate. Suddenly, dozens of vehicles from the Wild Dog Gang emerged, their members brandishing firearms aimed at the vehicles behind them. Behind the scenes, the Dog Lord had amassed an unknown quantity of weapons, all for this day, a showdown. Competing with my firepower? Han Li picked up the intercom, issuing commands to all members. In the next moment, just as all members of the Wild Dog Gang were reveling in their apparent superiority, a multitude of firearms emerged from the densely packed vehicles behind them, all AKs. Of course, they were loaded with paintballs meant to intimidate. But the Dog Lord was oblivious. Upon seeing the overwhelming display of weapons, he nearly lost control of his bladder. What the hell, such blatant audacity? Is the police chief going to intervene? I'm just collecting weapons. You must be an arms dealer. Dog Lord, we're cornered. His secretary trembled, his entire body shaking, a far cry from his earlier bravado. Filled with despair. What? The dog lord turned around, momentarily stunned. The road ahead was indeed obstructed. The members of the Angels had strategically positioned their vehicles, effectively sealing off the path. This sense of being trapped instilled a chilling dread in every trafficker, as they experienced an unprecedented fear for the first time. It felt as though each of their moves had been anticipated, and their adversaries were almost playful in their approach. Just when they found themselves cornered, a fatal blow was delivered. Charge forward. At 60 or even 120 miles per hour. Damn it, the car is about to ignite. The members of the Wild Dog Gang huddled together like turtles, desperately pushing forward. Yet, their despair deepened as their opponents fought with even greater ferocity. Each Angel member was invigorated, clinging tenaciously to them. Suddenly, a vehicle emerged, moving faster than any other. With a deft drift, it maneuvered through 2 or 3 enemy cars, coming to a halt right in front of the vehicle occupied by the gang leader. Then, with a swift tail swing, it forcibly brought the gang leader's vehicle to a stop. Goodness, what a high-speed chase. Is this the king of cars? The viewers in the live stream were left dumbfounded. Wow, Canadian drifting. This display is simply astonishing. It must be Han, the master of driving. After watching his skills, I feel utterly inadequate. Everyone present could only think one thing. This maneuver was breathtakingly impressive. The members of the Wild Dog Gang were left in shock. What kind of driving skill was this? Surely, it couldn't be a scene from a movie. Bang. Han Li exited his vehicle and approached the gang leader's car. Seizing the moment while the leader was still dazed, he fired several shots into the air. The gang leader, terrified, scrambled out of his car, pleading, "Hero, big brother. What have I done to deserve this? Do you know who I despise the most? Traffickers. I take down everyone I encounter," Han Li declared with unwavering resolve. "Aren't you also part of the underworld? It's absurd. Tell your men to pull over, hands on their heads, and squat down." One enraged member of the Wild Dog Gang was about to pull a gun on Han Li. However, as the surrounding men in white suits turned their attention towards him, he felt the collective gaze of hostility, and his face was instantly flushed with fear. "Don't act rashly, gentlemen," he exclaimed. "I've never been this frightened in my life. I surrender." The man dropped his gun and squatted down, cradling his head. "Is this even a fight?" The gang leader scoffed. "Well, if I end up in prison, I'll come out a hero again." The traffickers chuckled. Indeed, being imprisoned for a decade or so would not strip them of their bravado. Witnessing their filthy smiles made Han Li furious. When did incarceration become a sanctuary for them? "Han, the police will arrive shortly. We can leave this to them," Ling Han suggested. "Leave it to the police?" Han Li shook his head vigorously. "That would be far too lenient for these beasts." "Staff." Suddenly, he bellowed, "Everyone, please make way." The staff members attempted to approach Han Li, only to find themselves obstructed by a cadre of henchmen, fierce and menacing, as if poised to devour anyone who dared to cross them. "Let him through," Han Li gestured dismissively. In an instant, the throng of henchmen parted, albeit with a hint of reluctance. The staff member stepped before Han Li, feeling an unsettling lightness in the air. "I am about to commit a grave offense," he declared. "What offense?" The staff member queried, perplexed. "You have become a crime lord. What could possibly be more outrageous?" Han Li cast his gaze upon the beleaguered human traffickers, their faces etched with despair. He had previously reviewed the evidence against these individuals, with crimes ranging from the trafficking of a few children to thousands. The youngest barely 3 years old. Truly, they were less than beasts. To hand such traffickers over to law enforcement would merely result in a prison sentence. Far too lenient a punishment. "I want them to suffer, to wish they had never been born," Han Li declared vehemently. He turned to Joseph. "Isn't there a recent overseas trade in human trafficking?" "Indeed." Joseph replied with a smile. "Are these individuals sufficient?" Han Li joined in his mirth. The onlookers, including the staff, were left bewildered, as were the viewers in the live stream. "What the hell? Why are you all just standing there?" Joseph admonished the crowd. "Yes," they replied in unison. "Wait, are you serious?" The trafficker, Dog Yi, panicked. "I've always been the one selling people. When did I become the merchandise?" He watched in dread as members of the Angels began escorting the traffickers away. The staff, now flustered, exclaimed, "Han Li, are you truly going through with this? What do you think?" Han Li retorted, his gaze fierce and unyielding. "I, Han Li, shall shatter darkness with darkness, returning their own malevolence to them." The staff member fell silent. These traffickers indeed deserve their fate. "Cough, cough. I have not seen you. Nor you me," he muttered before dismissing the traffickers and slipping away. The live stream audience fell into a hushed silence, followed by an unending wave of revelry. Now this is the style of a true rogue. Chapter 117. Triggering a new Easter egg, this time, aimed at Yingzhou. In a secluded harbor, Dog Yi and his fellow traffickers found themselves bound, weeping profusely. Han Li and Joseph exchanged wicked smiles as they handed them over to a young black man. "Where will they be sold?" Ling Han inquired. "To the mines as slaves." Han Li replied. "Outstanding." The black buyer chimed in. "I will treat them well." Dog Yi exclaimed in disbelief. "What the hell? You are inhuman. In your next life, remember to be a good person." With a wave, Han Li bid farewell to Dog Yi and the others as they were taken aboard a departing yacht. The audience in the live stream stared in shock. How cruel, yet I find it exhilarating. Traffickers deserve no pity. Well done. Though I may not admire your identity, I greatly appreciate your actions. Han Li, you are eternal. Why did it take me so long to discover this powerhouse? He is formidable. Goodness. This is even more outrageous than my own Black Dragon gang. The police saga, indeed. Viewers from various cities were stirred with fervor after witnessing Han Li's decisive actions against the human trafficking syndicate. Particularly striking was his method of reciprocating the evildoer's own tactics, a truly formidable display. It is no exaggeration to say that such a strategy, employing malevolence to counter malevolence, is exhilarating. Some netizens, upon reflection, became acutely aware of a startling truth. All the nefarious forces in City C have been eradicated. Han, the undisputed leader. The staff member's eyelids twitched with disbelief as he glanced at the young man beside him, who wore a broad smile. It was hard to fathom that just a few months prior, this individual was an inconspicuous passerby. Now, it would not be an exaggeration to say he holds dominion over City C. What an inspiring journey. Han, could you share the secret to your success? He inquired with curiosity, now addressing him as Han. Han Li replied, the secret to success? It's simple. Find a fish stall, gather some widows, and acquire a godfather to take off. What kind of nonsense is that? No jesting. Congratulations on triggering the program's mysterious Easter egg. The staff member swiftly produced an invitation card, presented it to Han Li, and hurriedly departed after calculating his points. Holding the pristine invitation card, Han Li mused on how he had once again activated an Easter egg from the production team. What could it be this time? Meanwhile, after they dealt with the human traffickers, several police cars finally arrived. Li Yi, accompanied by the police chief, disembarked. He had been closely monitoring the situation, initially expecting that the group would hand over the culprits to the authorities. To his astonishment, it became clear that they had no intention of doing so. Report. What is happening? He inquired, noticing the overwhelming number of people present. We're concerned about the rookie police chief, a cautious officer replied. It wasn't a matter of cowardice. The sheer numbers were staggering. The port was teeming with individuals. As Li Yi stepped forward, he immediately discerned a figure in the crowd that stood out. It seemed he had seen this person before. Clearly, this was the leader of the organization. Just as he was about to confront him, a group of Angels members suddenly surrounded him, blocking any approach to Han Li. Hey, what are you doing? The police chief is conducting an investigation. Step aside. Li Yi demanded, drawing his weapon, as he felt a strange resemblance between the figure and Han Li, compelling him to ascertain the truth. However, the Angels members remained unmoved. Their expressions grave. How amusing. Do you think you are worthy of meeting the boss? Suddenly, rain began to pour from the sky. Joseph stepped forward, opening an umbrella to shield Han Li from the downpour. We should head back, he remarked. Han Li glanced at Li Yi, who was desperately trying to push through the crowd, and without a backward glance, turned and entered the vehicle, departing. After taking over the Angels, Han Li established his own organization on the crime leaderboard, marking it as the third organization created by the entire program. All members have been assigned to the factory purchased by Han Li, operating under the legitimate guise of an angel investment company, preparing to launch a series of enterprises. However, due to current financial constraints, these plans have been temporarily shelved. In the present context of City C, Han Li wields immense power, practically untouchable, as the local police are utterly incapable of apprehending him. Moreover, he has recently gained nearly 100 new subordinates. In contrast, the police force has significantly diminished, with their most formidable team, the Black Eagles, having been decimated by their own, leaving only Li Yi capable of pursuing him. Thus, Han Li resolved that it was time to seek new territories for mischief. Coincidentally, the production team had a new opportunity for him. As for the Angels, he decided to entrust their management to Joseph. Han Li produced an invitation card, and upon opening it, he found a single line inscribed. This time, the target is Yingzhou. This implied that he could finally travel abroad. After receiving confirmation from the production team, Han Li felt a surge of exhilaration. At long last, he would have the chance to explore foreign banks and test their vulnerabilities. Regrettably, due to the restrictions imposed by the production team, he was unable to travel internationally until now. However, the invitation stipulated that he must go alone, without any companions. After perusing the rules, he discovered a mysterious plane ticket tucked within the card. It appeared to be his passage to Yingzhou. Seizing the moment, Han Li declared his intention to embark on an impromptu journey. What? Yingzhou, such a distant place. President Han, I cannot bear to part with you. I must accompany you to take care of you. You are merely afraid of being left behind to face the consequences. This time, he insisted on going alone, leaving Lin Han and old Master Cui to look after the place, which would also provide them with a well-deserved break. Reluctantly, Lin Han tearfully purchased tickets for the music festival scheduled for the next day. Old Master Cui was indifferent, exclaiming, "Damn it, being with Han Li means constant brawls. My knife is barely holding up." A few days later, Han Li found himself at a domestic airport, perhaps due to the production team's design. He breezed through security and boarded the plane without a hitch. An air hostess frequently approached him, bringing snacks, leaving him puzzled about her intentions. He wondered what amusing events awaited him in Yingzhou. Should he perhaps consider blowing up that detestable Sakura society? Meanwhile, the pilot, who had evidently indulged in alcohol, staggered into the cockpit, his face flushed. Han Li felt a twinge of apprehension, thinking, could this end poorly? The air hostess reappeared, reassuring him, rest assured, sir. Our flights have a stellar safety record. There hasn't been a single incident in over a decade. Is that so? Han Li felt an unsettling twitch in his left eye, sensing an ominous premonition. Behind him, in another seat, Li Yi complained. Why was I suddenly reassigned to Yingzhou for an exchange? I wanted to stay in City C to capture Han Li. How infuriating. Before long, the plane took off without any issues. The man in the co-pilot's seat glanced at the sleeping captain and shook his head, muttering, again with the drinking and oversleeping. Suddenly at that moment, the displayed data revealed an anomaly. Chapter 118. Even God cannot save me. Han Li refuses to acquiesce. What is happening? The newly arrived co-pilot glanced at the data, his heart racing. Suddenly, a deafening noise emanated from the aircraft, causing the entire fuselage to tilt, and countless items fell. Accompanied by a woman's piercing scream, the flight attendant hurriedly rushed towards the cockpit, visibly flustered. At this moment, tension enveloped everyone. What is going on? Don't scare us. Is there an issue with the plane that President Han is on? The viewers in the live stream also began to feel anxious. Shortly thereafter, the flight attendant emerged, forcing a smile as she addressed everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. It's merely a minor issue. We will resolve it shortly. Upon hearing the attendant's fluent English, the passengers breathed a sigh of relief. Except for Han Li. He pressed his forehead. The attendant was lying. There was a major problem with the aircraft. At that moment, the system's notification echoed in his mind. Congratulations, host. You have received the title, Vehicle Slayer. Warning, the plane is about to crash. Run. Damn it. This is insane. Ding. Due to the emergency situation, the host is temporarily granted the skill, Aircraft Master. Han Li. It can work like this? Damn it. I'm back in action. As expected, when the flight attendant turned back to enter the cockpit, her previously feigned composure instantly vanished. What should we do, damn it? Let me handle this. The awakened captain made a preliminary assessment of the problem with the aircraft. It's nothing. He is the best captain in Yingzhou. Bang! Suddenly, the co-pilot's control stick sprang free, and the entire aircraft plummeted, losing control. Unbelievable. The elevator is malfunctioning. The co-pilot exclaimed. What? It's fine. Pull the elevator lever, quickly. The Yingzhou captain remained calm. As long as the lever was restored, the problem would be resolved easily. However, as the co-pilot desperately struggled to pull it up, gasping for breath, it seemed the lever was indeed broken. In an instant, the best captain in Yingzhou's expression shifted from calm to panic, for he could no longer control the aircraft's descent. We are going to die? Captain, think of something. The captain was at a loss, staring blankly at the descending aircraft, utterly bewildered. This unexpected situation had completely surpassed his comprehension. We're doomed. The co-pilot observed the captain's terrified expression and sank into despair. I'm exhausted. Let it all end. He clasped his hands together and closed his eyes, awaiting death. Flight attendant. What the hell? What is happening? We are going to die. As the paper cannot contain the fire, at the moment the plane began to plummet, the passengers lost their sanity, screaming wildly. Some even attempted to jump with parachutes, only to be stopped by the flight attendant. This was undoubtedly a death wish. Flight FC, facing an unforeseen crisis, urgently called for assistance. The cabin crew attempted to contact the airport, uncertain of its efficacy, yet it was preferable to waiting helplessly. The alarming situation aboard the aircraft soon captured the attention of Yingzhou and even other nations. The passengers, a diverse assembly from various countries, prompted swift formation of specialized response teams to devise solutions. Distinguished captains and experts from different nations were summoned. After extensive analysis, it was concluded that there was no viable resolution in such circumstances. Infuriating. Was it truly hopeless? Hundreds of lives were at stake. The eminent captain from M Nation, Mike, shook his head in dismay. Even God cannot save them. While many nations resigned themselves to the worst outcomes, only Huaxiao remained fervently engaged in discussions about potential solutions. Do not give up until the very last moment, everyone. Observing the tenacious resistance of the Huaxiao people, Mike scoffed. Surely, the Huaxiao individuals do not genuinely believe they can turn the tide? If even the most skilled captain like myself deems it impossible, then no one can succeed. As despair enveloped all aboard, a figure rose, calm amidst the chaos, skillfully maneuvering through the tumultuous crowd towards the cockpit. A flight attendant spotted Han Li and immediately approached to intercept. Please return to your seat. Do not trouble the captain. Just as she prepared to insist further, the aircraft's elevator mechanism malfunctioned. The flight attendant paused, her eyes wide with disbelief at the striking young man. How could he possibly know that? Perhaps, she thought, I might be of assistance. Han Li exuded an enigmatic aura that left the flight attendant momentarily unable to discern truth from illusion. However, the mere fact that he could identify the aircraft's malfunction was impressive enough. Thus, she decided to let him try. Please, come in. Han Li entered the cockpit, glancing at the seemingly resigned co-pilot and captain. Gentlemen, might I request some space? Who are you? How did you get in here? Leave at once. This is not a matter for someone like you. The captain's anger was palpable. What could this individual possibly do? Bang. Before the captain could evict Han Li, He swiftly incapacitated him with a precise strike. Damn it, all talk and no skill. He then turned to the others. The captain is unconscious. I will take over. The crowd gasped in disbelief. What madness is this? The live audience erupted. Good news, CEO Han has arrived. Bad news, he knocked out the captain. This is a life or death situation. Let's offer a prayer for Han. May nothing go awry. Rest assured, I will take care of the situation. Meanwhile, the flight attendant and the co-pilot were still in shock, watching Han Li expertly manipulate the controls from the captain's seat. To their astonishment, he displayed an undeniable proficiency. Suddenly, a deafening explosion reverberated, and the aircraft plummeted even faster. We are doomed. They recalled previous incidents where aircraft had met with catastrophic collisions, where even divine intervention could not save them. In contrast, Han Li maintained an air of composure as the hydraulic systems spiraled out of control and the pitch control faltered. First, he mitigated the descent speed by jettisoning the fuel, thereby alleviating the aircraft's weight. He then turned to the despairing co-pilot. Hey, kid. Do you know why I'm keeping you around? Quickly deploy the landing gear. Are you really planning an emergency landing? The co-pilot was bewildered. This guy must be insane. The city below grew increasingly distinct, with mere minutes remaining before inevitable catastrophe. With such dire circumstances, how could an emergency landing even be considered? Almost everyone resigned themselves to their fate, yet Han Li gripped the controls tighter, a smile creeping onto his face. Ladies and gentlemen, take your seats and watch me perform. Chapter 119. Goodness, the passenger plane has been transformed into a fighter jet. The aircraft descended rapidly, and inside the cabin, all luggage suddenly burst open. A box hurtling toward a flight attendant. In that critical moment, Li Yi stepped forward and caught the box with one hand. Are you all right? Thank you. Everyone, please remain calm and return to your seats. Li Yi displayed his police badge, reassuring the passengers. In the cockpit, the co-pilot screamed frantically, his face contorted in agony. I can almost see the buildings below. We're about to crash into the city. Simultaneously, response teams from various countries received urgent news. What? You say a Chinese national has incapacitated the captain? This is a conspiracy. China must provide us with an explanation. Everyone, stay calm. He appears to be a captain himself. Michael declared arrogantly. Is he more capable than I am? In an instant, the representatives from China fell silent, for Michael was ranked as the second best captain in the world. How could anyone surpass him? Report, this Chinese captain has requested an emergency landing. The crowd gasped. With such a rate of descent, could it be true? Wasn't he that a death sentence? Michael laughed maniacally, a madman, a fool. He is going to doom everyone. Stop him at once. If he manages to land, I'll never fly again. Naturally, no one believed him, and they began to accuse the Chinese side. Given the situation, there is no need for further discussion. China will take responsibility for this incident. A representative from China stepped forward, effectively silencing the dissenters. Regardless of the outcome, good or bad, you will bear the burden alone. Ing Zhou seized the opportunity, eager to deflect blame, and found a scapegoat in China. With no choice, China bore this unjust burden. Han Li gripped the controls. His gaze focused on the displayed data, attempting to stabilize the situation, but he could not halt the aircraft's descent. Time was running out. Prepare yourselves. I'm going to make the plane roll, Han Li announced with a smile. What roll? The co-pilot from Ing Zhou did not comprehend the Chinese terminology, utterly perplexed. I mean to turn the aircraft around. Oh, I see. What? Are you insane? How is that even possible? The co-pilot realized that this man was truly deranged and had no grasp of reality, putting them all in danger. Turn the plane around? Absolutely impossible. In a moment of despair, chaos ensued as the foreign netizens in the live stream expressed their outrage towards Han Li, labeling him a fool for his reckless actions. The initial glimmer of hope had been extinguished by the actions of his compatriots, leaving everyone in disbelief. The atmosphere grew tense as Han Li, in the cockpit, prepared for what seemed like an inevitable crash. He shouted to his co-pilot, retract the flaps. The co-pilot complied, and Han Li commanded, deploy the speed brakes. The aircraft was on the brink of disaster, hurtling towards the buildings below, and panic gripped the passengers. They huddled together in despair, the flight attendants in tears, while the co-pilot, unable to bear the sight, closed his eyes, awaiting the end. In this dire situation, an emergency landing seemed impossible. Yet, just when all hope seemed lost, Han Li took a deep breath, grasped the controls with determination, and willed the aircraft upwards. Lift off, he commanded. In a miraculous turn of events, just before impact, the plane flipped, skimming alongside the building with a thunderous roar that drew the attention of countless residents below. What on earth is happening? A man exclaimed as he stepped outside, only to be met by a fierce gust of wind that nearly swept him away. What he witnessed was an unforgettable sight. The airplane was flying backward. At that moment, the residents of the city were frozen in astonishment, soon erupting in exclamations of disbelief. Inside the aircraft, the co-pilot was horrified by the unfolding spectacle, glancing at Han Li, who appeared remarkably composed as he communicated over the radio. Unable to contain himself, the co-pilot exclaimed, incredible. This is nothing short of miraculous. It was unfathomable that Han Li had managed to reverse the plane's trajectory. The aircraft stabilized, and the foreign netizens in the live stream fell silent. grappling with the surreal turn of events. A Chinese netizen finally broke the silence, urging others to rally behind Han Li, declaring, "What are you waiting for? Celebrate our Captain Han." The production team marveled at the spectacle, proclaiming, "He is a monster. This is extraordinary." Indeed, what Han Li had accomplished was monumental, elevating the standards of aviation to unprecedented heights. As a captain, the sheer thrill of witnessing such resilience was exhilarating. The Chinese spirit of perseverance shone brightly as the passenger aircraft transformed into a formidable machine. Han Li's maneuver was unprecedented, marking a historic moment in aviation. With the opportunity for an emergency landing at hand, he commanded, "Retract the speed brakes." New flaps engaged. The co-pilot was utterly impressed by Han Li. This individual was nothing short of a deity. Suddenly, an alarming message crackled through the intercom. "The left engine has failed. This is the International Response Team. Hello, I am the representative from Huaxia. The aircraft is now just 300 meters above ground. Can you execute an emergency landing?" Han Li resolutely declared, "In the name of Huaxia, I vow to fulfill this mission." Full power. He deftly maneuvered the aircraft, releasing all fuel and steering towards a nearby open field for landing. As they approached the ground, the co-pilot felt a surge of anxiety. Emergency landings were a true test of a captain's skill. A slight miscalculation could lead to disaster. However, Han Li's expertise once again showcased his extraordinary prowess. The landing was flawless, devoid of any turbulence, and he maintained an impeccable speed throughout. The aircraft touched down and glided smoothly along the ground without incident. After a prolonged moment, the co-pilot, feeling his heart race, marveled, "Are we alive? We made it." He exclaimed in awe, "Master Han, I bow before you." This reverent gesture echoed through the cabin, where passengers erupted in jubilant celebration, astonished that they had survived. The flight attendant wiped away her tears as admiration for Han Li welled up in her eyes. Han Li released his grip on the controls, weary but relieved. He picked up the intercom, reporting, "The aircraft has successfully made an emergency landing." The International Response Team was left in stunned disbelief. "What? You actually did it?" they exclaimed, incredulous. "Unbelievable. This is impossible." Mike bellowed, his disbelief palpable. Under such circumstances, a successful landing seemed utterly beyond reach unless one were a deity. The heads of various nations felt a surge of warmth in their hearts and turned to the liaison officer, inquiring, "What are the casualty figures?" The liaison, astounded, replied, "Zero." A collective gasp echoed among the leaders. 0 casualties? Such a feat was terrifyingly remarkable. The captains stood in astonishment, their expressions a mix of wonder and disbelief. Before they all turned to Mike. "Mike, you might as well retire on the spot." He wished he could vanish into thin air. Such skill. It was heavenly. The representative from Yingzhou cheered triumphantly. "We have succeeded. If this is widely reported, it will certainly bring us honor." The Huaxia representative shook his head, asserting, "No, it is Huaxia that has succeeded. Let us not forget who took full responsibility." Yingzhou and the other nations mused. Who could have predicted that this Huaxia captain would turn the tide? They quickly dispatched teams for search and rescue. An hour later, all passengers were safely evacuated. Escorted by medical personnel to the hospital, journalists rushed to the scene in droves, eager to interview the Huaxia captain who had single-handedly averted disaster. As Han Li emerged from the cockpit, he was met with a flurry of flashing cameras, momentarily taken aback. A reporter inquired, "In such an insurmountable situation, how did you manage to save everyone and achieve 0 casualties?" Han Li pondered for a moment, returning to an ancient saying from Huaxia, "If one fails, do not blame the uneven road." The implication is clear. The shortcomings of pilots from other nations do not signify that our Huaxia pilots are incapable. In summary, you are all worthless. The journalists were taken aback. How audacious. Yet, they indeed possess the means to be so. Chapter 120. Collaboration among contestants from different nations? This is a grand maneuver. Everyone, having survived a calamity, wished to express their gratitude to the Huaxia pilot who had saved them all. However, when they sought to find him, they discovered he had vanished without a trace. Even the personnel from the Yingzhou government were unable to locate this Huaxia pilot, leaving them perplexed. Ultimately, they had no choice but to contact the Huaxia government. The responsible party quickly uncovered the true identity of the pilot, learning that he was a contestant from a program called Criminal Roleplay. They were utterly astonished. Robbing banks, committing fraud, infiltrating police stations. Each case sent shivers down the spines of Huaxia's high-ranking officials. It turned out that Han Li was not a pilot at all, but rather an ordinary individual portraying a criminal. How audacious. This meant he had accomplished feats that many trained pilots could not achieve without any specialized training. The high-ranking officials were left utterly shocked. Is he even human? Genius seems insufficient to describe him. In the end, they chose to conceal Han Li's identity. Quickly, I must commend this comrade, promote and report widely, arrange everything. Shortly thereafter, the news broke. The story of the Huaxia pilot saving hundreds of passengers was reported by various nations, astonishing people around the globe. Even more shocking was the announcement made by the world's most formidable pilot, Mike, who held a press conference to declare his immediate retirement. When asked for the reason, he replied, "Perhaps you should inquire about that mysterious Huaxia pilot." Everyone immediately realized the implication. Could it be that the Huaxiao pilot was the reason for Mike's retirement? Incredible. Countless pilots from different nations, having watched Han Li's piloting videos, knelt in awe. Someone, take my life, let the divine assistance flourish. Even more remarkably, some pilots named Han Li's maneuver the wings of the divine, a skill only a deity could accomplish. Unbeknownst to Han Li, he had achieved instant fame, becoming a new deity in the hearts of countless pilots. At this moment, he was seated in a taxi in Yingzhou, heading to the address on the invitation card. To prepare, he had even learned some Yingzhou phrases. Upon arrival, the driver. Shortly thereafter, the driver, following the address on the invitation card, arrived at a modest inn. Han Li alighted from the vehicle, surveying the building that seemed to be a gathering place. The moment he stepped into the inn, he noticed a well-dressed woman at the front desk who had been waiting for some time. She greeted Han Li with a warm smile and a slight nod, her melodious voice ringing out. "Contestant Han Li, you have finally arrived. Please register here." Han Li offered an apologetic smile. Handing his luggage to the servant who came to collect it, he approached the front desk to register. Upon glancing at the ledger, he noticed several names already inscribed: David, Kojiro, Liu, and himself, 5 individuals in total. A vague realization dawned on Han Li, and with a smile, he expressed his gratitude to the receptionist before ascending the stairs with the staff to locate his room. Upon reaching the upper floor, Han Li paused, momentarily taken aback. "What's wrong?" the hotel staff inquired, puzzled. Han Li smiled reassuringly, dismissing any concern, and continued onward. After they walked for a short while, a figure emerged from the shadows, an individual clad in attire reminiscent of a yokai ninja, furrowing his brow as he observed Han Li's silhouette, muttering to himself, "Could it be? Perhaps I am overthinking it." In the blink of an eye, he vanished once more. Navigating through the corridors, Han Li arrived at his room. He accepted the key card from the staff and began to organize his belongings. On the coffee table, he discovered a peculiar card, identical to the invitation he received. It was evident that this hotel was linked to the production team. The invitation indicated that this was a deliberately arranged gathering point. If his suspicions were correct, the other guests were, like him, participants invited by the production team. However, judging by their names, they hailed from diverse nationalities, suggesting that similar programs, such as crime roleplay, might also exist in other countries. While he pondered this, the staff member who had left earlier returned, knocking gently on the door. "Please accompany me." "All right," Han Li replied, following the staff member up another flight of stairs. As they opened various doors, Han Li entered a spacious chamber where several individuals had gathered, 3 men and 1 woman. One man was extraordinarily muscular, another donned a ninja-like outfit, and a third had bright eyes, exuding shrewdness. The woman, possessing a unique charm, knelt gracefully on the tatami, pouring tea. "Ah, another person from Huaxia has arrived. What a mixed bag," David remarked, sipping from a bottle of vodka. "How rude," retorted the man from Han Island, covering his nose with a handkerchief. "Let us not bicker, as we are all contestants here. Cooperation may be required," the woman interjected, her every expression imbued with allure. Han Li stood quietly in the corner, observing the scene, while the silent ninja glanced at him with apparent interest. "Is something the matter?" Han Li had already sensed the scrutiny. The ninja approached directly, asking, "Are you from Huaxia?" "Indeed," Han Li confirmed. "Do you know a contestant named Han Li?" Han Li was taken aback. "You are looking for me?" To avoid unnecessary trouble, he feigned ignorance and countered with, "What about him? Are you unaware? He has become quite renowned in our yokai community, especially among the ninjas. The live audience has gone wild." "Goodness, has my fame spread overseas?" Han Li exclaimed. "What does it mean to have such influence? Have I truly become famous?" That extraordinary event concealed in darkness has undoubtedly astonished countless ninjas from Yingzhou. Consequently, many scholars within the dojo have taken to offering incense in tribute to Peichi. He is eager to engage in a contest of ninjutsu with Han Li, to ascertain whose skills are superior. "Apologies, I am not acquainted with you," the ninja sighed, expressing his disappointment. Suddenly, the door creaked open. 5 individuals turned to look. A staff member from a production team entered slowly, settling onto the tatami mat with hands crossed, speaking in a solemn tone. "Congratulations on triggering the Easter egg. You hail from different nations and shall partake in a special operation together." David stepped forward, inquiring, "Just tell us what you need us to do. Are you all aware of the largest bank in Yingzhou?" The group paused, understanding the significance of the bank under the jurisdiction of the island nation's government, renowned for its vast reserves. "Damn, this feels familiar," the elder nodded, grinning maliciously. "Indeed, this time, you are to collaborate in robbing Yingzhou's largest bank." Chapter 121. I Han shall be the captain. Who dares to oppose? A man from Han Island smiled at the others, stating, "If we are to cooperate, we must designate a leader. The leader would be the one directing the bank heist, a testament to capability." The others were eager, yet Han Li remained detached, uninterested in such a thankless title. "Captain, choose whoever you wish." However, the elder interjected, "No need for selection. Our production team has already made a choice." The 4 were taken aback. "What? Officially designated? Who is it?" The elder scanned the group before raising his hand, pointing directly at Han Li, who stood in the corner. "Me?" Han Li questioned incredulously. As if seeking confirmation, the elder nodded. The remaining four were astonished. They recognized each other's formidable talents, and any selection would have been justified. Yet, they could hardly believe that such an ostensibly ordinary individual from Huaxiao was chosen. Is he truly capable of leading? David protested. This guy appears feeble. What skills does he possess? Han Li scratched his head. Can I refuse? The elder shook his head. It appeared that the mantle of leadership had fallen upon Han Li, much to his resignation. Nevertheless, since the responsibility was now his, he had no choice but to accept. Stepping out from the corner, he stood at the center and addressed the remaining four. Since I am to be the captain, you are all required to follow my commands and execute my plan. David was the first to step forward, his temper flaring. He would not allow himself to be overshadowed. I refuse to accept this. Anticipating the reaction, Han Li approached the tall foreigner, asking, are you skilled in combat? Of course. David replied proudly, revealing that he was a formidable retired Special Forces soldier from America. Confident in his unmatched fighting prowess, Han Li smiled, his expression tinged with disdain. What use is raw strength? When it comes to robbing a bank, it relies on intellect. And with that, he continued. He pointed to his own head, his eyes brimming with contempt. What? David was taken aback. This fellow was so arrogant? He himself was a top contender in the show from M country, having eliminated countless opponents. Truly a formidable figure. How could he tolerate such insolence? Shall we compare? He assumed a combat-ready stance, seemingly preparing to confront Han Li. As a Special Forces soldier, he was confident in his close-quarters combat abilities, believing he could best anyone. However, in the next moment, a sharp sound echoed through the air. The towering David suddenly swayed, losing his balance, his eyes wide with shock. What just happened? Bang! David crashed to the ground, rising without even comprehending how he had been knocked over. Was it you? He looked fearfully at the still Han Li, a flicker of dread stirring within him. In truth, I was indifferent to who the captain was, the ninja voiced. The man from Han Island concurred, accepting the designation. The woman had no objections either. Han Li turned to David, the thorn in his side, and inquired, what about you? Frustrated, David stormed off. Han Li smiled with satisfaction. The viewers in the live stream felt exhilarated. A slap in the face was truly gratifying. Han Li quipped, young man, the path has narrowed. The others present were all formidable competitors from various nations and would naturally not submit to him. Thus, before executing a bank heist, he needed to assert his dominance. He deliberately provoked David and, in front of everyone, subdued him to compel their obedience. All right, everyone, return to your rooms for the night, the elder instructed, ushering them back. The next day, the five gathered in a small room, its walls adorned with an array of firearms, fully equipped. The man from Han Island expressed his astonishment. The production team had outdone themselves this time. Even David, notorious for his zero-cost purchases, displayed a glimmer of excitement. Impressive. Han Li entered the room, and the five of them refrained from revealing their true names, only knowing each other's code names. Oh, the woman approached a sniper rifle, seizing it. Her slender fingers caressed the gun's body gently, revealing a charming smile. Such a thick muzzle. When it came to sniper rifles, no one present could rival her. And this particular weapon was exceptional. May I see it? She asked Han Li, extending it to him. She had quite the fondness for this enigmatic young man, as he was undoubtedly the most attractive among them. Han Li took the sniper rifle, toying with it. Under the influence of the gunslinger's skill, he possessed an intimate understanding of all firearms, particularly this sniper rifle. The CSLR sniper rifle, quite impressive. Uft, who doesn't he know about it? Can you even use it? David interjected, stepping forward with a taunting demeanor. Just as his words fell, Han Li swiftly chambered around, lifted the rifle, and aimed, all in a seamless flow, taking no more than 2 seconds. David was left dumbfounded. Damn, that was fast. He was also an expert in firearms, and it was evident to him just how difficult Han Li's gun drawing technique was. Han Li chuckled and said, apologies. My marksmanship is quite exceptional. Bang. In the next moment, Han Li deftly swung his sniper rifle, not even bothering to engage the scope, and with a swift motion, he unleashed a paintball that cut through the air. Under the astonished gazes of the onlookers, the paintball traversed an eerie trajectory, ultimately striking a target not far away. A perfect 10-ring hit resonated through the air, shattering the silence. The crowd was left speechless. David was equally bewildered. What on earth? A quick draw? And a 10-ring hit at that. The viewers in the live stream erupted in excitement. Incredible. Why provoke him? Damn it. Han Ge has outdone himself. Having witnessed Han Li's remarkable skill, the crowd found him increasingly inscrutable, their trepidation towards him intensifying. The man from Han Island felt a chill run down his spine. Realizing that the official endorsement was not without reason, he was relieved he and T crossed paths with Han Li. Incredible. Such marksmanship is simply invincible. He immediately sought to ingratiate himself with the young captain, Han Li. The ninja felt a sense of dread. There was no way to evade that shot. Meanwhile, the woman regarded Han Li with newfound admiration, as she had a penchant for men skilled with firearms, and she couldn't help but steal a few more glances at him. As for David, he felt humiliated, akin to suffering from constipation, having been slapped in the face for the second time. He realized he had encountered a formidable opponent. A staff member entered and addressed the group. You may choose your weapons and equipment freely, but each person is limited to 3 items. Han Li inquired. When is the operation scheduled? 3 days from now, came the reply. Chapter 122. Brother, have you robbed before? David hefted a rocket launcher, exuding a distinctly American flair. While the men from Han Island selected only some defensive items, the woman chose her favorite sniper rifle, and the ninja from Ingzhou took nothing at all. Ninjas do not require such things, he declared confidently, a disdainful expression on his face. Ingzhou's ninjutsu is invincible. Curiously, when it was Han Li's turn to select, he too stood empty-handed. Surely you don't practice ninjutsu as well? Ignoring the others, Han Li was not merely posturing. He could fabricate his own weapons. I, Han Li, am a walking arsenal. Everyone, gather for a brief meeting, Han Li commanded, and the group assembled in the center of the hall. In 3 days, we will be robbing the Ingzhou government's bank. Over the next few days, we need to familiarize ourselves with the bank's layout. Han Li spoke with assurance, captivating the attention of the others, who were momentarily taken aback, especially David. He prided himself on being the most experienced in bank robbery compared to these individuals. But in comparison to Han Li, he felt like a mere amateur wielding a large blade in front of Guan Yu. Let us not get too professional. The viewers in the live stream were thoroughly entertained by the bewildered expressions of these individuals, erupting in laughter. Ha ha ha, this is hilarious. The boss is leading the way. Han Li, robbing a bank. This is something I am exceedingly familiar with. Wow, Mr. Han's approach is simply a dimensional strike. After speaking, Han Li turned to the others, asking, do you understand? The individuals exchanged glances, their eyes reflecting profound astonishment. This was remarkably professional. He was undoubtedly a fierce bandit. Their curiosity about Han Li intensified, leading them to gradually alter their perceptions. Initially, they had all been champions representing their respective countries, each one prouder than the last. However, upon encountering Han Li, an ostensibly ordinary individual from Huaxia, they instinctively considered him merely a bystander. Yet, as they interacted with him, they realized that Han Li was indeed a concealed talent. Could this young man have genuinely engaged in robbery? His familiarity with the subject was akin to discussing a meal. One of the men from Han Island smiled and inquired, pray tell, what does one rely on to rob a bank? Han Li regarded the other three, then slowly replied. It all hinges on a single word, ruthlessness. His voice carried a unique resonance, activating his actor skill, and his demeanor transformed instantaneously. In that fleeting moment, everyone felt that Han Li's presence, both in aura and gaze, underwent a striking metamorphosis. His eyes brimmed with a sinister ferocity, an indescribable intensity washed over them. David momentarily felt as if he were face-to-face with the notorious international bandits he had encountered before. He was utterly astonished. The man from Han Island instinctively recoiled, a hint of fear creeping in. The women were similarly taken aback. The contrast was stark. Which version of him was the true Han Li? How terrifying. After their discussion concluded, Han Li intended to return to his room, but was abruptly halted by David Lan, who approached him. What is this? I wish to have a proper fight with you, David declared, his pride stung by his previous oversight that allowed Han Li to prevail. Han Li pondered briefly before responding. Very well. I intend to ensure you are thoroughly convinced. They proceeded to a vacant area. Why? David was perplexed. Han Li turned back with a smile. I fear you may embarrass yourself should others witness this. David, feeling provoked, retorted, damn it, this time I'm going all out. If I injure you, it'll count as a personal victory. Upon reaching the open space, he discarded his clothing, revealing a physique brimming with muscle, his arms robust and powerful. Let me tell you, during my time as a Special Forces soldier, no one has ever completely defeated me. Han Li scratched his head. Then I suppose I shall also be earnest. David advanced, throwing a punch. 5 minutes later, Han Li emerged unscathed, brushing off the dust from his hands and whistling as he ascended the stairs. In the vacant area, David lay sprawled on the ground, gasping for breath. His eyes swollen and nearly obscured. He stared blankly at the dark night sky, his mind a void. Why? His physique was evidently inferior to Han Li's. Yet, in actual combat, he found himself unable to match him. What shocked David further was that Han Li had subdued him within mere 3 moves. Covering his face, he helplessly shed tears. He had finally come to terms with his defeat. The boss observed Han Li and his companions, witnessing, for the first time. Individuals from different nations gathered together. Han Li awkwardly spoke in the language of Ingzhou, ordering 5 steamed buns, large ones. The ninja beside him was at a loss for words. He hurriedly intervened to prevent Han Li from embarrassing himself and personally explained the order to the boss, requesting a selection of dishes. David, did you not sleep well yesterday? The inhabitants of the island scrutinized David, noting the prominent dark circles under his eyes, resembling the size of his mother's fists, almost making him appear like a panda from Huaxia. David remarked, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but several of us intentionally left the first seat for Han Li. Han Li nodded in satisfaction. It appeared that he had already gained control over this team. In a team, mutual understanding is paramount, and this opportunity was perfect for everyone to get to know one another. Han Li brought over a bottle of beer, pouring a drink for each person to foster camaraderie. David, the toughest man from M country. David puffed out his chest. I am Iwaki Ichiro, the ninja. Call me Spider, said the woman as she stroked her hair. Call me Peichi. Han Li introduced himself. Peiqi is a wonderful name. Quan Jizai applauded. He was quite astute. Recognizing Han Li's superiority over the others present and understanding the benefits of aligning himself with such a formidable figure. Very well, everyone. Follow me, and I assure you will live in indulgence, Han Li proclaimed with a smile. Yet, with every gesture, he already assumed the role of the leader of the team. The production crew watching this scene displayed expressions of astonishment. Are these the rebellious spirits they brought in? Have they all been subdued by Han Li in a single day? Where are the supposed troublemakers? Where are the prodigies? After finishing the meal, the group gradually grew familiar with one another. Subsequently, Han Li sought a hotel near the bank, reserving a room and assigning the sniper, Spider, to monitor the vicinity of the bank, documenting the personnel and security staff entering and exiting daily. David, you'll be in charge of reconnaissance. Han Li instructed the reckless David to drive around and gather intelligence on their escape routes. As for the bank's layout, it was entrusted to the highly intelligent Quan Jizai, who would disguise himself as a customer, frequently entering and exiting under the pretense of depositing money. Sir, are you serious? The bank staff inquired. Perplexed by the 50 he placed on the counter, Quan Jizai tilted his head, glancing around. Is that not acceptable? I can manage. After several visits, he would be able to sketch a detailed internal map of the bank. Finally, it was Han Li's turn. He remained in his room, engrossed in crafting exquisite weapons, the sounds of his work echoing through the space. Each day, the rhythmic clatter and banging resonated, with everyone fulfilling their respective duties. The division of labor was clear, and the efficiency was remarkably high, prompting the production crew and the audience in the live broadcast to exclaim their admiration for the professionalism displayed. Indeed, when a fierce bandit arrives, the atmosphere is palpably different. Damn, this Huaxiao man is truly a robber, Isntihi. Oh my, this Huaxiao individual is incredibly skilled. Sakokuai. Meanwhile, as Han Li prepared on one side, an unexpected guest arrived at the largest police station in Yingzhou. Nanny? Outside the Yingzhou police station, a grand press conference was underway, celebrating the remarkable achievement of maintaining the lowest crime rate in the central city. Officer Mu, it is said that under your leadership, criminals are apprehended with unerring accuracy. A portly man clad in a trench coat, sporting a mustache and a hat, exhibited a confident smile. Indeed, I was invited to participate in Yingzhou's crime roleplay, where I encountered no rivals at all. It concluded swiftly. The celebration of the continually declining crime rate persisted for quite some time, with reporters fervently documenting the event. They extolled the prowess of their Yingzhou police chief, touting the harmony of Yingzhou, attributing all credit to the chief's efforts. However, at that moment, an unexpected guest emerged from the throng of journalists, Li Yi, who turned his gaze toward the Yingzhou police chief. I am a police chief sent from Huaxiao for exchange and learning. A police chief from Huaxiao? Welcome. However, it is unfortunate that all the criminals here have been apprehended. You might as well enjoy yourself for the next few days, Officer Mu chuckled, attempting to keep the atmosphere light. What? Li Yi exclaimed in astonishment. Even we in Huaxiao wouldn't dare to say such a thing. Where does your Yingzhou derive such confidence? Just as Officer Mu was about to continue the press conference, a commotion erupted. Chief Mu, a Yingzhou police officer rushed over, whispering urgently in his ear. In the next moment, Officer Mu's expression shifted to one of shock as he inquired, what? Could it be true? Just moments ago, the Yingzhou government bank, not far from their police station, had been robbed. What on earth was happening? The reporters seized upon this dramatic turn of events, rushing forward to press for answers. It's merely a minor issue. Officer Mu directed several officers to handle the situation, estimating it to be just a few petty thieves causing trouble, and dispatched a small team to resolve it. 10 minutes prior, on the other side, the live streams of Han Li, Spider, David, and others had simultaneously activated, drawing in a flood of viewers. This time, production teams from various countries had united for a grand spectacle, determined to capture the audience's attention. Damn, this time we might just break records. Indeed, it's remarkable. Charge forth. The director from Huaxiao remained remarkably composed, looking disdainfully at the rural folk around him. Humph. For Han Li, this is merely a minor affair. What is there to be excited about? He thought to himself. Ah, indeed, my Huaxiao, a vast and magnificent nation, is simply unparalleled. However, to his astonishment, the viewer counts for several live streams surged at a terrifying pace, quickly surpassing 10 million and continuing to rise. The most astonishing of all was Han Li, who astonishingly reached a staggering 50 million in popularity. What the hell? Oh my god, this must be fake. Why does this contestant have such high popularity? Ridiculous, is he cheating? This kid must be using hacks. Several foreign directors cast envious glances at the Huaxia director, watching them seethe with jealousy, wishing they could eliminate him, yet too timid to act, brought him immense satisfaction. I have believed in this kid Han Li since he was young. The audience in the live stream erupted with excitement. It's insane, it's insane. This is a cross-national bank heist. Curse it. A few foreign contenders have teamed up, elevating Han to an invincible status, ready to soar. It seems everyone is wide awake, Isn't. This time, the heist has yet to commence, yet the anticipation has already surpassed that of any previous crime. At this moment, Han Li is savoring his final meal before the robbery. He has procured all the necessary items. What about the distribution map? Quan Ji placed a detailed layout on the table, appearing eager for praise. It's all here. David, the route has been selected. Spider, I have gathered intel on the bank's vicinity and the comings and goings of personnel. Soon, it will be the bank's most vulnerable moment. Ah, where's the ninja? He seems to have already infiltrated. Han Li glanced at his watch. There were still 10 minutes until the bank's weakest point. Let us move. After settling the bill, the group boarded a large pickup truck prepared by David and drove towards the Yingzhou Government Bank. Upon their arrival, the bank staff were just stepping out for lunch, yawning and appearing fatigued, longing for a hearty meal today. As he descended, he encountered 4 individuals, 3 men and 1 woman, who were unfamiliar faces, seemingly from different nations. Intrigued, he paused to observe them closely. With bags in hand, he watched as the 4 produced clown masks from their belongings. They donned the masks and headed towards the bank. The bank staff stood frozen, dazed for a few seconds before realizing what was happening. Holy cow, a bank robbery? Indeed. Suddenly, one of the men turned and approached him. Han Li drew his firearm, aiming it at the young staff member's forehead, threatening, "Aren't you going to call the police?" The viewers in the live stream were left bewildered. What is happening? Is Han voluntarily allowing him to call for help? Normally, wouldn't it be better for the authorities to arrive later? This is perplexing, surely. Han hasn't lost his mind. The bank staff was once again left dumbfounded. No way. In broad daylight, how bold can you be? And you expect me to call the police? Well, I'm not cowardly. He hastily retrieved his phone and dialed the Yingzhou police. After completing the call, Han Li ordered him to scram, waving his gun, causing the staff member to flee in terror. He glanced at his watch, removed his mask, and decided not to enter, instead waiting at the bank's entrance. After a brief wait, indeed, a Yingzhou police car arrived, and several officers hurriedly disembarked, immediately spotting Han Li standing at the entrance. Officers, you finally arrived. The robbers are inside, several of them. It's terrifying. Baka, what is the panic? The officer scoffed. A mere petty thief poses no threat. They drew their weapons and prepared to enter the bank, entirely unaware of the sinister smile that crept across Han Li's face behind them. In an instant, he observed their exposed backs, swiftly drawing his firearm from his pocket, and with remarkable speed, he dispatched the Yingzhou officers in an instant. Bang, bang, bang. A flurry of gunfire erupted. Several police officers from Yingzhou were momentarily bewildered, their backs splattered with paintballs, each in disbelief. What just happened? No way. He asked the robber. How audacious to disguise himself as a passerby. It dawned on the Yingzhou police that Han Li was no mere bystander. He was indeed the thief. Stay put and snipe them. The audience in the live stream erupted in chaos. What the? Mr. Han had this up his sleeve? Impressive. Han Li remarked, is this all? Wow, that was over in an instant. He disregarded the agitated Yingzhou officers, flashed them a smile, and proceeded into the bank. This was merely the beginning. Inside the bank, security personnel intercepted Spider and her companions, stating, "Apologies, our bank is undergoing system maintenance today and cannot process transactions." Noticing the oddly dressed individuals, he instinctively reached for his stun gun at his waist. Chapter 124. What? There are more robbers than us? Within the bank, the security guard halted the trio of peculiarly dressed individuals, particularly David, whose fierce demeanor made it clear he was no ordinary person. Spider glanced at Quan Ji's eye, who smiled slightly and stepped forward, saying, "Relax, we're just here to make a deposit." He offered the guard a cigarette. Ah, splendid smoke. The guard accepted it with a grin, only to suddenly turn stern, warning, "Baka, do not advance any further, or I will not be polite." Quan Jizai responded. "What a sham. You take the cigarette and still block us? How disgusting. Step aside." David shoved Quan Jizai aside, clenched his fist, and grinned, muttering, "Just screw him." As he spoke, he drew an AK and aimed it at the guard, demanding, "Are you compliant?" The guard raised his hands in surrender, exclaiming, Brother, I yield." In the midst of it all, Quan Jizai commanded, "Now, evacuate all customers, leave no one behind, understood?" He attempted to mimic Han Li's tone to appear menacing. The young guard nodded repeatedly, hurriedly shouting to usher the customers out. The once crowded hall was now deserted, leaving only the 3 of them. Why not keep hostages? Odd, this is different. Does Mr. Han have a new strategy? While the livestream audience was still puzzled, the individuals involved were already positioned at the bank entrance with an AK, Han Li whistling as he surveyed the surroundings. Nearby stood several visibly distressed individuals. He had calculated that with the next wave arriving, it would take no more than 10 minutes, possibly even less if traffic allowed. In that 10-minute window, truthfully, the 4 of them could not entirely deplete the Yingzhou government bank. Even if they managed to steal a bit, they would be pursued upon exiting. It was wiser to remain inside the bank and observe the unfolding situation. As for why Spider and her team were to expel the hostages, it was because Han Li only needed a few bank staff. Too many hostages would complicate matters for them. What is going on? Han Li noticed the hostages dawdling, realizing they were sluggish and reluctant to leave. What is the holdup? Believing this to be a mere show, you fools are resorting to trickery? The reality is just as such. A majority of the citizens of Yingzhou stubbornly refused to leave, determined to linger longer for the sake of earning more, deliberately moving at a sluggish pace. Observing this, Han Li swiftly seized an AK and aimed it at the slowest of the Yingzhou crowd, unleashing a barrage. In an instant, the individual was riddled with holes, leaving everyone in shock. Whoever is last, I shall target, Han Li proclaimed, proceeding to fire at a woman. Although it was paintballs, the impact on the body was undeniably painful. Oh my goodness! A shrill scream echoed. The elderly woman, entangled like a spider, was so frightened that her legs propelled her forward like a rabbit, sprinting 100 meters. The customers, in a frenzy, rushed for the exit. Fools! This Chinese man is ruthless. David, bring the vehicle over. It's time to commence the transport. After issuing his orders, Han Li made his way to the monitoring room to take control. The remaining individuals were left in a state of bewilderment. Indeed, professionalism makes a world of difference. David dashed outside, bringing the pickup truck to the bank entrance while the others handled the transport with remarkable efficiency. As time elapsed, Han Li glanced at his watch, estimating that the next wave of police should be arriving soon. With a swift motion, he accessed the bank system, sealing all electronic doors. Utilizing the intercom, he gathered the hostages in one location. Spider was astounded. This fellow can actually breach systems? Is he a hacker? And judging by the terrifying speed, it wouldn't take long at all. Unbelievable. Even top hackers could scarcely compare. This sentiment was sincerely echoed by Quan Zai, who, having encountered hackers before, understood just how impressive Han Li's intrusion truly was. The group had already regarded Han Li as their leader, obeying his commands to confine several bank employees to a designated area. I completed my reconnaissance. Within the bank, there were 10 employees under attack, and one general manager attempting to flee, whom I apprehended. A ninja, appearing as if from thin air, brought a portly man into the monitoring room. Well done. Han Li seized the rotund general manager, pressing the gun against his neck, and coldly stated, "You are an astute individual. You know what needs to be done. Don't you?" "Yes, I understand, the general manager replied, wiping the sweat from his brow. These individuals are more fearsome than genuine criminals. Han Li and the ninja escorted the general manager to the gathering of hostages, instructing them to remain silent. They were to be outfitted in new attire. The hostages were bewildered. New clothes? What clothes? In the next moment, all the hostages were dumbfounded as Quan Zai presented a bag before them, containing outfits and masks identical to those worn by their captors. This ploy was for the hostages to don the robber's garb. The viewers in the live stream erupted in excitement. Incredible, this can be played this way? They exclaimed. This Chinese man is truly cunning. In this manner, the police will be unable to distinguish friend from foe. Remarkable, indeed. Han Li, inspired by a film he had previously watched, devised this clever ruse, enabling the hostages to appear indistinguishable from the robbers, thereby greatly confusing the police. The situation instilled a sense of caution in the adversaries, curtailing their willingness to recklessly discharge their firearms. This granted the captors greater maneuverability, while the hostages found themselves with no alternative but to comply, donning disguises identical to those of their captors. Minutes later, the wail of police sirens resonated outside the bank. Observing the delay of the dispatch squad, Officer Mumu took it upon himself to lead a team to the scene. He arrived at the Yingzhou government bank, accompanied by a substantial contingent of officers, and cast an irate glance at the few defeated officers standing nearby, his expression seething with anger. What is the meaning of this? How could you have failed? Sir, that Huaxia individual fought unfairly. One officer protested. Indeed, he launched a surprise attack. Another chimed in. Silence, you bunch of inept fools. They are merely a handful of petty thieves. Watch as I, Officer Mumu, apprehend them in mere moments. With urgency, Officer Mumu instructed the snipers to take their positions and prepared to dispatch another squad of officers to storm the bank. How many are there? He inquired. There are 4. Just 4. A bank employee, who had previously escaped, assured him. 4? Ha ha ha, this is a farce. Officer Mumu exclaimed, gesturing broadly. There are only 4 of them, while we have 20 officers. We cannot afford to lose this. The officers of Yingzhou were poised for action. Just then, the bank's doors swung open, causing the officers to stir with anticipation. For individuals seemed easily manageable. However, the next moment revealed a startling sight. Over a dozen robbers, donned in clown masks and wielding AK-47s, emerged in a row, confronting the officers. The Yingzhou officers glanced at their modest handguns, then at the formidable array of AK-47s brandished by their adversaries. What? They outnumber us. One exclaimed. Where did they acquire those firearms? In a direct confrontation, we seem ill-equipped. Officer Mumu turned in disbelief to his informant, questioning, is this really just 4? Did your math teacher instruct you in sports? Alas, you've led us to ruin. Chapter 125, No Obstruction of Surveillance? A surprise awaits at the back door. Han Li seized a megaphone and directed his voice towards the officers outside. At this moment, hostages have infiltrated our ranks, and I advise against indiscriminate gunfire. What's this? Officer Mumu and his colleagues gasped, realizing that hostages were mingled among the robbers. How cunning. This complicates matters. We cannot fire indiscriminately. What if we inadvertently harm a hostage? Officer Mumu furrowed his brow, recognizing that he had underestimated these robbers, who proved to be far more formidable than previous Yingzhou contenders. Meanwhile, the commotion at the bank captured the attention of all Yingzhou citizens, as videos depicting Han Li, flanked by a dozen hostages at the bank entrance while threatening the officers, spread rapidly across the internet. Suddenly, the online community of Yingzhou erupted with fervor. Oh my! In the land of STE, hostages and robbers are mingling. We cannot afford to fire. Learn something new today. Could someone explain what language this person is speaking? To the one upstairs, I can tell you. They are Huaxia people. The situation escalated dramatically as the citizens of Yenzhou rallied behind Officer Mu, determined not to let the Chinese competitor defeat their local police chief. The moment the Chinese contestant struck back, the online community in Yenzhou was instantly on edge. The media seized this opportunity, dispatching numerous reporters to cover the unfolding drama. This was a sensational event. Regardless of the country, crime reenactment shows have captivated audiences. And this incident piqued the interest of media companies eager to capitalize on the unfolding spectacle. Officer Mu watched helplessly as Han Li paraded around with the hostages, confidently returning to the bank, while his team remained paralyzed with indecision. Engaging in a shootout was out of the question, and a sniper attack posed the risk of collateral damage to the hostages. The frustration was palpable. As reporters and photographers flocked to the scene, Officer Mu hurriedly instructed his superiors to intercept them, fearing they would compromise the operation. This was escalating beyond control. It was a national broadcast of Han's audacious bank heist. Although the act was illicit, the thrill of the spectacle was undeniably exhilarating. The online community in China erupted with excitement, feeling a camaraderie in being able to challenge the status quo. A prominent journalist approached Officer Mu, seizing the moment to report live. We are broadcasting from the Yenzhou government bank, currently under siege by an exceptionally cunning group of robbers. Their strength and resources surpass anything we've witnessed before, and the leader, identified as a Chinese bandit, is remarkably intelligent. The online community even bestowed upon him the title of Chinese bandit. Upon reviewing the viewer statistics, the journalist was astounded to discover that they had broken company records, with a staggering 50 million viewers tuning in to witness the unfolding drama. It was astonishing to realize that this unprecedented achievement stemmed from the actions of a mere criminal. Consequently, the robbery at the Yenzhou government bank began to gain traction, becoming a topic of national discourse. Officer Mu was overwhelmed, receiving multiple calls from his superiors. How could you let a mere Chinese thief outsmart you? This is unacceptable. Resolve this situation swiftly. Do not let us lose face, you incompetent fool. Frustration mounted as Officer Mu contemplated the dilemma. Which party was the true criminal, and which was the hostage? From a distance, he noticed Han Li watching him. A mocking expression on his face, so brazen, so infuriating. Through the bank's windows, Han Li reveled in the confusion displayed by the Yenzhou police. It was a moment of pure satisfaction. David brandished his firearm, while the police dared not retaliate. Quan Ji approached Han Li, suggesting, I believe it would be prudent to disable the bank's surveillance cameras to prevent them from assessing our internal situation. Han Li shook his head, indicating that it was unnecessary. The others were left bewildered by this response. In the makeshift command center, Officer Mu maintained a serious demeanor as he addressed the technical team. Quickly, attempt to connect to the bank's surveillance systems. However, given the cunning nature of their adversaries, he doubted they would succeed easily. Sir, we're connected, came the unexpected announcement. What? Officer Mu was taken aback. They had connected so swiftly. He hurried over to take a glance at the screen. Several clear images appeared, devoid of any obstruction. Could it be that he had forgotten? In that moment, everyone was plunged into a dilemma. Was this a mere oversight or a deliberate act? It was undoubtedly a trap. A ruse akin to the empty city strategy? Surely not. Chief Han was far too cunning for such a simplistic ploy. There must be an underlying issue. After a brief moment of hesitation, Officer Mu resolved to proceed with vigilance, determined to ascertain who among them were hostages and who were the assailants. This could very well be their only chance. Suddenly, a technical officer noticed a shadow stealthily approaching the bank's rear entrance. Sir, it appears they intend to escape through the back. Officer Mu glanced over and indeed saw a robber, clutching a bag, quietly making his way to the rear door. Clearly, the individual was an assailant. They were attempting to flee through the back. There was no way that would be allowed. Charge in, he commanded. But what if they had laid a trap? At that moment, Li Yi received word and joined the support team. He approached Officer Mu and cautioned, this robber from Huaxia is likely Han Li. He is exceedingly cunning. I advise against any rash actions. Unperturbed by the warning, Officer Mu chuckled, rest assured, our surveillance is impeccable. Should there be any movement from their side, it will undoubtedly be captured on camera. Everything appears normal. They have not set a trap. He ordered, let us move in on them. Ignoring Li Yi's admonition, Officer Mu dismissed his concerns, asserting that in Yingzhou, they were not in need of intervention from an outsider. A team of armed officers hastened around to the rear of the bank. Meanwhile, within the bank, the hostages clad in robber attire dared not resist. Just moments ago, Han Li had eliminated the general manager before their very eyes, serving as a stark warning. But where was the ninja? To this day, he had not been seen. Where could he have gone? Han Li grinned. I sent him to install C4 at the back door. What was that about the hostage? David inquired. Perplexed. A distraction. The crowd gasped. Han Li was intentionally leaving the surveillance unobstructed to allow them a view of the commotion inside the bank. When they saw a hostage carrying a bag fleeing towards the rear, they would undoubtedly assume it was a robber and rush to the back. Meanwhile, he had already dispatched an invincible ninja, adept at stealth, to evade detection and surreptitiously place a bag of C4 at the back door, waiting for them to take the bait. Of course, the C4 was not highly lethal, but would certainly deliver a painful jolt. Moreover, since they could monitor him, he too could keep watch over them. As Han Li spoke, he utilized a hacker to seamlessly infiltrate the police system monitoring them through the bank's surveillance network. His phone displayed the flustered state of the Yingzhou officers. They're coming. He retrieved a team walkie-talkie and communicated with the ninja on the other end. You may proceed with the installation. At the rear entrance of the bank, a peculiar figure suddenly emerged from the shadows, moving with a grace that rendered him utterly silent. This specter eluded even the watchful gaze of surveillance cameras. He extracted C4 explosives from his bag and meticulously placed them at the bank's clandestine rear entrance, marveling at Han Li's craftsmanship, which enabled the creation of such devices. Subsequently, he retrieved a triggering mechanism and connected it to 4 C4 units, ensuring that any disturbance would ignite a catastrophic explosion. Once his task was complete, he vanished once more into the darkness. 5 minutes later, a squad of armed officers from Yingzhou arrived at the rear entrance, poised to launch an assault. Chapter 126. What a catastrophe, losing both the woman and the troops. Officer Mu Mu awaited news of success from his team, eager to neutralize at least one robber to present a tangible accomplishment to his superiors. At that moment, the squad's camera displayed their position outside the bank's rear entrance. One officer produced a sophisticated device and slipped it through the door's crack, gaining insight into the interior situation. What do you see? Officer Mu Mu inquired. Sir, came the prompt reply, there's a robber inside with a bag. The situation is confirmed. Almost certainly. Officer Mu Mu commanded. What are you waiting for? Charge in. The squad burst through the door. A handful of them faced a lone robber burdened with stolen cash, a mere formality to subdue. Gunfire erupted, swiftly neutralizing the startled robber. Look, we have taken down a robber. Officer Mu Mu encouraged his fellow officers. However, their expressions were not of joy, but rather confusion. What? Ah! Suddenly, a series of explosive detonations startled Officer Mu Mu, who turned slowly, disbelief washing over him. On the screen, several officers lay incapacitated, clutching their arms in agony. What happened? Quickly look. The technical officer, with keen eyes, quickly discerned the debris littering the ground. Explosives. C4. Where did this Chinese individual acquire C4? Madness. The Yingzhou officers were thrown into chaos, as this individual was not adhering to the expected protocols. Who on earth employs C4 explosives in such a scenario? This was absurd. Officer Mu Mu stood frozen, rubbing his head in frustration, though he consoled himself with the thought that they had still managed to eliminate one robber. Yet, as if fate sought to mock him, the monitor displayed a figure stepping forth, seemingly aware of the surveillance camera's presence, waving at Officer Mu Mu and his team. Approaching the fallen robber, he lifted him, positioning him toward the camera. What was he planning? As the team's confusion deepened, Han Li smiled and dramatically removed the mask from the man's face, revealing a bruised and battered visage. This individual was one of the bank employees. An officer from Yingzhou, having perused the list of bank staff, immediately recognized him and shouted, "He is a hostage." Yingzhou officers, what the hell? They actually misidentified and killed a hostage? What a grave matter this is for the police chief. Officer Mu Mu was so startled that he collapsed onto the ground, beads of cold sweat streaming down his face. His lips trembled as he thought, it's over. Han Li released the hostage and proceeded to confiscate the weapons from the rolling chief Yingzhou, sealing the back door completely. This ambush was executed flawlessly. The enemy was utterly annihilated while his side suffered not a scratch, and they had inadvertently caused the death of a hostage. The viewers in the live broadcast were in an uproar. The display was extraordinary. They exclaimed the two words, invincible. This maneuver was textbook level. The first from S country learned from General Han, indeed. The hostage glared resentfully at Han Li as he departed, then glanced at the moaning chief Yingzhou on the floor. Baka, it's over. In the hall, David rubbed his hands together, peeking mischievously at a female employee before pulling her aside. What do you intend to do? She asked. David flashed a wicked smile. Brother will take you to have some fun. As it seemed the female employee was about to be taken away, at a critical moment, Quan Zhizai stepped forward, declaring with righteous indignation, stop. Hand her over to me. David, somewhat reluctantly, sighed and walked away. Thank you. Shoo. Quan Zhizai whispered to her. Don't make a sound. I am actually an undercover officer for the chief. Time is of the essence. These robbers are unaware of my identity. Come with me to the bank vault, and we will transfer the funds inside. The woman was taken aback. Is that for real? Quan Zhizai promptly revealed his police badge before putting it away. If you hinder my operation, all of the chief's efforts will be in vain. It was he who had saved her moments ago. Otherwise, she would have been too timid to interfere with the chief's work. She immediately nodded in agreement to cooperate. I know the vault's code. Follow me. Thank you for your cooperation. We will certainly reward you later. Following the woman, Quan Zhizai stealthily made his way to the rear vault of the bank. Meanwhile, David observed everything with a sly smile, glancing at the ninja beside him. This girl is truly naive. In truth, it was all part of Quan Jizai's plan to obtain the vault code, feigning a rescue while masquerading as the police chief to gain the trust of the employees. Before the bank heist, they had thoroughly assessed all the staff. This female employee was not simply a random choice. She had an affair with the general manager, thus possessing the vault key. Yet her demeanor was remarkably timid. She was the most suitable candidate. Spider remarked, "That is why I dislike the people of Han Island. They appear noble on the surface, yet are treacherous behind the scenes." Under the guidance of the female employee, Quan Jizai successfully reached the bank vault, learned the code, and gained access. His eyes sparkled with greed. "Now I understand why so many people are drawn to rob banks. Baka, useless." The higher-ups berated Officer Mu Mu mercilessly, as the accidental killing of the hostage and the squad's elimination had shocked the upper echelons. Fortunately, this was merely a drill for the program. Had it been real, the consequences would have been unimaginable. "It is all my fault, Chief. I shall take my own life." Officer Mu muttered as he drew his cherished long knife. "Mu, I grant you one final opportunity." The superior concluded and abruptly ended the call. "Damn it. Go, negotiate with them and ascertain their demands." Officer Mu instructed. Shortly thereafter, Chief Ing Zhou dispatched a specialized negotiation expert, who, clutching a briefcase, had barely taken a few steps when the sniper, Spider, stationed on the second floor of the bank, identified the target. He inquired of Han Li. "It appears to be the negotiation expert. What should we do?" On the other end, Han Li, stationed in the surveillance room, replied without hesitation through the intercom, "Eliminate him." Understood. Spider decisively fired his weapon. The negotiation expert from Ing Zhou had just reached the bank's entrance when he suddenly froze. A loud bang resonating as a bullet struck his chest, releasing a plume of colored smoke. The man lowered his head, his eyelids twitching. Was it truly kill or be killed? The officers from Ing Zhou were left in shock. "What? This is not a robber. This is a murderer. Goodness. We are in serious trouble." Officer Mu slammed the phone down in frustration, shouting, "What the hell? Who is this Han Li? Too ruthless." The robber had executed the negotiation expert without hesitation, completely disregarding the authority of the police chief. He was resolute in his intent to fight to the bitter end. The pressure on Officer Mu intensified, his heart racing. At that moment, the monitors suddenly went dark, leaving the technical officers without insight into the situation inside the bank. Undoubtedly, this was adding insult to injury. What on earth does this Han Li intend to do? Chapter 127. This move creates public pressure, forcing you to act. The citizens of Ing Zhou were left dumbfounded upon witnessing the execution of their negotiation expert. How ruthless. I like it. Now, this is exhilarating. Even more thrilling than a film. Han Li's gunfire had undeniably elevated the public interest to new heights. No one had ever encountered such a fierce criminal. Good heavens, to shoot without hesitation. It was the first time witnessing such audacity. This is the true visage of a ruthless bandit. The previous Ing Zhou contenders seemed like mere children in comparison. This is the essence of criminal performance. A true Huaxia bandit. Let them feel the intensity. Countless netizens eagerly anticipated Han Li's next move. Meanwhile, Officer Mu found himself entirely at Han Li's mercy, utterly powerless to retaliate. Journalists seized this opportunity to capture attention, driving the public's interest to terrifying levels. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the most ruthless bandit Ing Zhou has ever encountered. Who shot the negotiation expert dead, devoid of humanity? How thrilling." One could even lavish praises on Han Li, as such flattery would only increase his notoriety. As the journalists' reports gained traction, the pressure on the police chief escalated, facing significant public backlash, being suppressed by a Huaxia bandit. Officer Mu's phone was nearly overwhelmed with calls from superiors. Ing Zhou emphasized performance metrics. Therefore, they could not allow the situation to deteriorate further. What is the status? Has the surveillance been restored? The technical officer exerted every effort and ultimately managed to capture a few surveillance images. Reports indicated that the enemy seemed to be on the move again. What? Officer Mu Mu hurried over, his eyes narrowing in disbelief. How could this notorious bandit from Huaxiao suddenly go dark? It turned out he was in the midst of transporting the stolen funds. Indeed, there was treachery afoot. Were they attempting to escape? The crowd gasped in astonishment. "Officer Mu Mu, I believe that in a situation where we are aware and the enemy is concealed, it is evident that this scenario favors them. We should refrain from alarming the snake," suggested Li Yi. "Sending in a number of officers would be futile. Baka, you Huaxiao officer know nothing. In this case, we should strike with full force. Indeed, we of Ing Zhou cannot allow ourselves to be provoked by a mere Huaxia bandit." In an instant, the officers of Ing Zhou, driven to desperation and with fury in their eyes, were eager to storm the bank. Officer Mu Mu hesitated. This Han Li had evidently committed numerous heinous crimes within Huaxia, a cunning and vicious adversary, surely plotting with malice. Should we engage or bide our time? With a sigh of relief, Officer Mu Mu stood up, gazing at the assembled officers, ready to declare, "Let us delay and await reinforcements." However, a phone call interrupted him. "Wait, let me take this call." Picking up the phone, he said, "Hello? Mu Mu, you useless fool. The media has already reported it. Now the internet is flooded with news of our officers being humiliated by Huaxia. The emperor is furious. How could this be? Hadn't we driven them away? There's a traitor among us. Officer Mu Mu felt a chill run down his back. This information was deliberately released by the enemy. Han Li? Could he be the one behind this? Had he bribed one of our officers to allow the media in, creating pressure through public opinion? Damn it. Could he have anticipated this? Meanwhile, a Yingzhou officer was releasing media reporters, picking up the phone, and looking at the 100,000 yuan that arrived. A smile crept across his face. Sender, Peichi, you want to stop me? Let us go. Someone wants to let you in. He ignored the reporter. The reporter, perplexed, asked, Who are you? As the public discourse spread, the citizens of Yingzhou began to question the competence of the officers, launching relentless criticism. Calls kept coming in from above. Officer Mu Mu felt as if a great weight had descended upon him, his expression filled with anguish and overwhelming pressure. As a mere officer, what choices did he have? Quickly, bring me the bandit. Hey, put down the phone. The crowd looked at the troubled Officer Mu Mu, awaiting his command. All units, prepare for an assault. Li Yi sighed. Now, this is utterly doomed. You Huaxiao brat, do not underestimate us in Yingzhou. With a multifaceted attack, the bandit will surely falter. How will you differentiate between the bandit and the hostages? Li Yi countered. Even if the assault succeeds and you enter, you will be unable to tell friend from foe. By then, if the bandit remains unscathed, all the hostages could be slaughtered. How does that sound? You fail to comprehend that behind this rehearsal, countless eyes are scrutinizing our every move. I possess no choice in the matter. Officer Mu erupted, exuding an air of exasperation. The arrow is drawn, and it must be loosed. Damn Han Li, he is compelling my hand. The most pressing issue is that I am devoid of alternatives. If this drags on, not only will the chief be eliminated, but the emperor will also impose punitive measures upon them. Li Yi was taken aback, suddenly realizing that the greatest adversary of Chief of Yingzhou was not the criminals, but rather the higher-ups. Have they rotted away? Officer Mu, disregarding the pleas of others, resolved to safeguard his position by ordering a meal to be delivered to the robbers, and then we would launch a surprise attack, just like that, with resolute decisiveness. He could not allow Han Li to continue manipulating the Chief of Yingzhou. This time, they would reclaim control. Yes, indeed, that is more like it. The higher-ups were quite pleased with this. If they could swiftly eliminate the robbers, they would not mind inadvertently harming a few hostages. After all, Yingzhou only sought results. In the command room, all the chiefs stood up, armed with a determination to face certain death. Failure would result in ritual suicide. Officer Mu's decisive move, akin to burning bridges, brought great joy to the netizens of Yingzhou. Indeed, it was the right approach. Eliminate the Huaxia robbers. Yingzhou is not to be trifled with. A surprise attack was essential, otherwise, they would be gradually worn down. The men of Yingzhou possess ample courage. The situation began to tip in their favor. Meanwhile, oblivious to all this, Han Li and his associates were preparing their arrangements. Good heavens, is this an arsenal? Where did all these supplies come from? David felt a chill run down his spine as he finally understood Han Li's choice of weaponry. It was not mere bravado. It was indeed unnecessary to conceal their intentions. Weapons, whatever quantity he desired, he possessed. The opposition should be aware of our transportation of stolen funds. Yet they remain oblivious to this deceit. Quan Zhizai smiled, stating that their true objective was the bank's vault. It is said that the treasures of the prominent figures of Yingzhou are housed here. Chief, is there anything else I can assist you with? A female staff member inquired, her face ablaze with fervor and determination. Quan Zhizai glanced at her, picked up a gun, and fired several shots at her body. My apologies, miss. I am a villain. He then picked up the radio to report to Han Li. I have secured this wealth. The question remains how to escape. I propose that David and Spider remain behind to hold them off, while we make our departure and complete the crime. In such a grand case, sacrifices are inevitable for the sake of victory. Surely, David and Spider would comprehend this. No, you all go. I will stay behind, Han Li declared, once again disabling all surveillance before turning to leave. Chapter 128, A Fruitless Endeavor? Han Li vanishes into the darkness. Quan Zhizai, fearing for his life, felt no need to argue since Han Li willingly chose to stay. He summoned David and the others to secretly transport these treasures away. Who could have imagined that the bank vault concealed such an abundance of treasures, porcelain, jewelry, each worth millions, and even some artifacts? Oh my god, this is utterly insane. David was overwhelmed with astonishment. Quan Zhizai hurriedly covered everything up. Meanwhile, neither of the two individuals noticed as the camera suddenly shut off. In the backstage of the Yingzhou program, the director's frustration was palpable as he clutched his head, unable to fathom how this group managed to unlock the vault. What a disaster. How much will it cost us? The director from Huaxia reveled in the misfortune, while directors from other nations promptly blacklisted Han Li in their minds. This would undoubtedly ruin their shows if it were to happen in their countries. Meanwhile, Han Li returned to the hall and picked up the phone, dialing the Yingzhou police chief he had memorized earlier. The ringing echoed through the room, leaving the nearby hostage stunned. Was he really making a call at such a moment? Soon, a voice on the other end broke through. Moshi Moshi? Are you Han Li, the notorious bandit from Huaxia? The urgency in the voice was unmistakable. I am Officer Mu Mu. We can send you some food shortly. Please let us know if you have any other requests. Mumu hurriedly spoke, fearing Han Li would hang up. Calmly, Han Li replied. Food. I don't recall making any requests. Air. I took the liberty of assuming. Rest assured, it's not poisoned. Officer Mumu, relieved that Han Li was speaking, continued the conversation while signaling to his team to prepare for an ambush. Yes, on the surface, he appeared to be bantering with Han Li, but in reality, he was stalling for time. Han Li, scratching his head, recognized the tactic. They were clearly feeling pressured and preparing for an assault. Very well, he would play along. I have strict demands regarding the food. It must be hot pot, do you understand? And it must include tripe. Let me remind you, we are all gathered in the hall. Don't even think about any tricks. The revelation that the robbers were all congregated in the hall filled Officer Mumu with elation. This bandit had inadvertently revealed crucial information. All right, we will certainly accommodate your request. Han Li added, also, arrange a bus for me immediately, one that can seat over 20 people. It must be swift, understood? With a decisive click, he hung up, exuding an air of a formidable bandit. Officer Mumu raised an eyebrow. The request for a bus indicated that they were indeed preparing to flee. The decision to ambush was undoubtedly wise. They had almost let them escape. However, given Han Li's legendary status in Huaxia, Mumu remained cautious and instructed the technical officer to discreetly infiltrate a surveillance camera to monitor the situation in the hall. The intrusion was successful, and the robbers remained oblivious. The report confirmed 23 individuals present in the hall, exactly as anticipated. They had not fled, with relief washing over him. Officer Mumu realized that there were no tricks afoot. All were indeed gathered in the hall. It was time to proceed with the ambush. Team 1, maneuver around and breach from the designated point. Team 2, break in through the window. Team 3, once teams 1 and 2 have completed their tasks, you will enter through the front and secure control over everyone. Officer Mumu commanded, remember, whether they are robbers or hostages, if anyone draws a weapon, treat them as robbers and eliminate them immediately. The squad moved with remarkable speed, concealing their forms to evade the surveillance cameras surrounding the bank. Even willing to expend extra time to do so. With careful, deliberate steps, they navigated the blind spots, remaining undetected by the enemy. Meanwhile, Officer Mu dispatched personnel with meals to buy time. Team 1 arrived at the designated location and took their positions. Team 2, utilizing their equipment, successfully ascended to the 3rd floor and then gradually descended using ropes. The bank's tinted windows obscured their silhouettes, and their professional training ensured that they made minimal noise. Report, 2nd floor, no sign of robbers, beginning the breach. Officer Mu observed on the screen as several officers approached the bank entrance with meals, still unaware of the operation underway. Upon receiving the command, Team 2's leader produced a signal jamming device to obscure communications around the bank. In a nearby thicket, a journalist covertly reported the unfolding events, noting that the livestream's viewership had surged to 73 million, a staggering figure. All right, we're initiating the counterattack. The armed team is serious. To be candid, this operation was far more thrilling than any prior endeavor, surpassing anything in S country. Bang! Team 2 crashed through the window, swiftly securing the 2nd floor. Safe. Team 1 also made their entry. Officer Mu received the news, elated by their success. However, he remained anxiously fixated on the bank entrance, watching as an officer with meals approached. Meals have arrived. Please open the door. The next moment, the bank's shutter began to rattle and slowly ascended, revealing a narrow gap. Strangely, the shutter continued to rise. The officers were bewildered, and even the previously jubilant Officer Mu stood frozen as the shutter fully lifted, unveiling the main entrance, which was then gently pushed open. The entire bank entrance stood wide open, without obstruction. What on earth? The officers delivering the meals gazed into the bank's interior, questioning if they were being invited in. A sense of foreboding crept over Officer Mu. No way. Suddenly, a muffled sound emanated from Team 1's intercom. What happened? Officer Mu grabbed the intercom, questioning the noise that resembled a rocket launcher. Surely not. Enemy forces suddenly burst through the back door, armed with a rocket launcher. We suffered significant casualties, and they escaped in a truck. What? They fled through the back door? Impossible. They should all be gathered in the lobby. The surveillance clearly shows this. At that moment, Team 2 relayed their findings. Report. We discovered over 10 individuals, all hostages, with not a single robber in sight. This operation has been utterly futile. Officer Mumu could hardly believe it as he set down the walkie-talkie, gazing at the gaping bank entrance that seemed to mock his actions mercilessly. Weren't you going to launch a strong assault? I summoned you here. Baka, Han Li, you scoundrel. They've all escaped. All of them. In the truck, David glanced at the ninja beside him, admiration evident in his expression. They probably won't realize until their dying breath that you were never counted among the heads. Indeed, from beginning to end, Officer Mumu and his team were oblivious to the presence of this ninja, who remained shrouded in darkness, entirely undetected. It was he who had opened the back door. Inside the vehicle, for individuals fixated on the ill-gotten gains, they had struck it rich. Meanwhile, the audience in the live broadcast room erupted in excitement. As expected of President Han, leading them by the nose and crushing Ying Zhou. Little Ri, what the hell? You brought out the cannon and then slipped away? Ha ha ha, disgusting. My brother Han has a trick or two up his sleeve. Hey, But speaking of which, why is President Han's live stream so pitch black? Where's this? Damn. It feels like the bank's internal ventilation ducts. Within the pitch-black ventilation ducts of the bank, a pair of bright eyes gleamed. Chapter 129. Are you out of your mind? Trying to fleece the sheep here? They've searched thoroughly. All the loot has been taken, and the robbers have fled. Baka. Officer Moo Moo felt utterly humiliated, as if he had been played for the first time in his life. Fortunately, the culprits had just departed. There might still be time to pursue them. He dared not delay, immediately leading all his team members in pursuit of Gong Jizai and the others. Catch up to them. Hey, as long as we apprehend these robbers before they offload the goods, we can deem their mission a failure. However, what troubled Officer Moo Moo was that the escapees seemed to have already chosen their escape route, making it impossible to catch up. How infuriating. Countless Ingzhou officers lamented. They had lost this round too thoroughly. Gong Jizai handed over the goods to the production team, earning the highest score and monetary reward in history. The director of the Ingzhou production team, as the host, naturally bore the financial burden. So witnessing this colossal sum being divvied up among individuals from other countries was profoundly disheartening. Baka, we're on the brink of bankruptcy. There can't be a second time. Other directors rushed to offer consolation. Little Baka, don't cry. Yet, the director from Huaxia stood alone in a corner. Having inquired with the staff responsible for the offloading and uncovered a troubling detail, they had not seen Han Li. How could this fellow possibly be absent? I have a feeling something is amiss. With a shiver from the cold wind continuously blowing in, Han Li opened his eyes and took out his phone, checking the time. It was 8 o'clock in the evening. By now, Spider and the others should have succeeded, right? Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for firing the first shot in Ingzhou. Rewarded with the skill, Extreme Sports Master. Extreme Sports Master. You can now perform any high-difficulty extreme sports maneuvers. Now, it can be confirmed that the shipment was successful. To be honest, Han Li was on the verge of dozing off until he was suddenly awakened by a cacophony of noise. Beneath the ventilation duct, under the glaring lights, several bank employees were bustling about, led by none other than the bank manager. That scoundrel, that Huaxiao man is truly despicable. Let me not see him again, or I shall end him. The junior employees exchanged glances, speechless. Go ahead and boast. The manager turned to a female employee behind him and inquired. Remember to have the broken windows repaired by the police, as well as all damaged property within the bank. In compensation for mental distress. Every day is a torment. The female employee sighed. Let us hope this doesn't happen again. All right, you all head back. I will stay late today, hand me the bank keys, and I will lock up later. The manager spoke mysteriously. The female employee produced the keys and handed them to the manager before leaving with the others. Han Li, who had observed everything, couldn't help but smile subtly. The live stream audience was also taken aback as they finally discerned Han Li's location. To their astonishment, isn't this the bank's ventilation duct? What on earth? General Han hasn't left. The viewers were bewildered, unable to comprehend why Han Li appeared in the bank's ventilation system. At that moment, Han Li manipulated his phone once more, infiltrating the bank system to disable all surveillance. Then, with practiced ease, he lifted the ventilation duct cover and jumped down. That year, with hands in pockets, he was oblivious to the concept of an adversary. I recall the vault keys are with the manager, right? The vault? Here we go again. The live stream audience erupted. No way again. Officer Moo Moo. Manager, danger. Here we go again. Bank, what is that noise? Tell a joke. I've been robbed twice. Goodness, you're really something, Brother Han. You're audacious. Just got robbed, and you're back again. Will you let us live in peace? Han Li had already memorized the layout of the bank, making his way toward the manager's office. Upon reaching the door, indistinguishable sounds emanated from within. Oh dear, someone is crying. Sneaking a peek? Han Li, this is what we call a little life. Just as the manager was getting into the groove, he suddenly noticed a figure appearing behind him, startling him into falling off his chair. Who is there? The manager initially thought it was some employee and was about to scold them. However, upon seeing the figure, he froze. In the dim light, a man in a suit wearing a Peppa Pig mask stared back at him. Manager? 1 minute later, Han Li, disguised as the manager, locked the office door and proceeded directly to the bank's vault. Who would have thought that the treasure recently taken by robbers would now be ripe for him to reap once again? So, that is the situation. It is akin to a seasoned veteran lurking in a novice village, patiently awaiting your resurrection at the spring. There is no escape. Han Li retrieved a substantial bag from the bank and proceeded deep into the vault, employing a stolen key to unlock it. The viewers in the live broadcast exclaimed in admiration, yet some netizens raised their concerns. With so much treasure, can one truly carry it all away? Surely, he could only take a fraction. Regardless, I have fully immersed myself in Han's character. It is exhilarating. As Han Li swung open the vault door, his expression faltered in surprise. The valuables, previously stored, were now neatly arranged within cabinets, each equipped with alarms that would blare loudly upon contact. Han contemplated shattering the glass, but a glance at the Maiden Huaxiao engraving dissuaded him. Alas, this approach would not suffice. The adversary had grown wise. An alarm system, what a nuisance. What to do now? Meanwhile, the disgruntled officer Moo Moo returned to the police station, his spirits dampened. The higher-ups had granted him one last chance, with no room for error. Should he be bested again by that fellow named Han Li, it would be time to pack his bags and depart. Damn it. That accursed Han Li, if I ever catch you, I shall ensure your downfall. Officer Mu Mu seethed with rage. Upon entering the command center, a technical officer rushed in. Breathless. Bad news, Officer Mu Mu. We've detected a malfunction in the bank's surveillance system. Everything has gone black. Another blackout? What on earth? Officer Mu Mu's eyes widened in disbelief as he hurried to investigate. Indeed, after the robbery, the bank's previously restored surveillance had suddenly collapsed without warning. What a catastrophe. A chilling thought swept through the crowd, leaving them in shock. Could such events truly recur so soon after a heist? Fear gripped the hearts of all at the Yingzhou police station. Are they really brazen enough to fleece us again? It was uncertain. Quickly, everyone still present, follow me. Officer Mu Mu bellowed, overwhelmed by the surreal circumstances. Chapter 130. Oh Mu Mu, I have been thoroughly undermined by my incompetent allies. Immediately. Chief, we are all here. Officer Mu Mu noted the presence of over a dozen officers on duty. Without further ado, he led this group straight to the Yingzhou government bank. Was this considered overtime? If we let the robbers escape, I swear, you will face severe consequences. The police station was not far from the Yingzhou government bank, arriving at the entrance in about 10 minutes. How peculiar that it was shrouded in darkness. Logically, there should be personnel on duty at this hour. Indeed. Something was amiss within. Quick, call the bank. The officer dialed the number of the last recorded manager, but the phone rang for an eternity without a response. Chief. No one is answering. What? Something's wrong. Hurry, force it open. Chief, how do we do that? They have no tools. Officer Mu Mu exclaimed. Why did I bring you useless people? Go find some tools. Meanwhile, inside the vault, Han Li meticulously studied the alarm system and finally deciphered its wiring. The viewers in the live stream were puzzled. Could he really not manage it? Mr. Han, it's fine. We've done this once before. What? Do you look down on me, Peppa Pig? Most viewers believed Han Li was at a loss regarding the alarm cabinet. In truth, even if real criminals arrived, they would be equally baffled. However, Han Li was different. He was a man of systems. He pulled out a slender wire and inserted it into a gap in the cabinet, fiddling with the alarm. Soon, the previously glowing green alarm abruptly extinguished, seemingly deactivated. Han Li then simply lifted the cabinet, and the alarm remained inert. Is that it? The viewers erupted in disbelief. The manager? The bank? The officer? What the hell? A single wire managed to disable a $1 million alarm? Is that all? Incredible. Thief King, is that you? Han Li declared, give me a wire, and I could lift the entire earth. Unfathomable, simply unfathomable. What is so surprising? My master told me that the top-notch thieves can open safes with just a breath. Really? Of course not. I'm just a thief. Mister, Han's operation leaves me utterly bewildered, wouldn't you agree? In a nutshell, Han Li's deft manipulation of that small wire left all thieves dumbfounded. Exclaiming that their ancestral master had descended, Han Li gazed at the valuables within the cabinet, his happiest smile yet gracing his face. What a pity to leave all this behind. Come, let's take a joyride. Spending too long in the cabinet would be detrimental to the treasures. He then picked up a necklace worth millions and placed it into his bag. The viewers in the live stream were no longer calm. What on earth? Is this even real? What a lunatic. If you have the ability, give it to me. If you keep showing off, I might just take myself out, believe it? Low emotional intelligence, robbery, high emotional intelligence, taking valuables for a joyride. All this money was glaringly evident. Mr. Han, you're not here to rob. You're here to stock up. Initially, Han Li felt a thrill, but as more valuables piled up, he became numb. His emotions were flat, tossing in handfuls regardless of their worth. Bang! Suddenly, Han Li heard a peculiar sound, and turning around, an ominous premonition filled his heart. It seemed to emanate from the bank's entrance. Something was amiss. With that thought, he quickened his pace, his hands moving with lightning speed. What dexterity! It was almost impossible to see clearly. A voice chimed in, young man. I'd like to add you on WeChat and offer you a villa. In no time, the bag he carried swelled, as if the treasury's wealth had been thoroughly plundered. Han Li took a deep breath. Just as the onlookers assumed he would carry the hefty bag out, he instead retrieved a cart from the side. Why not use a vehicle? He thought. How meticulous. Han Li had evidently prepared for this moment, adhering to the principle of not lingering in such a place. He pulled the cart and made his way outside. Once out, all he needed to do was offload the valuables. However, just as he exited the vault and turned a corner, he froze. Not far off, several figures approached, none other than Officer Mu Mu and his team. Everyone, stay alert. Don't overlook any suspicious individuals. Officer Mu Mu declared, raising his firearm. Oh no, I've encountered the police. Han Li Henti anticipated their swift arrival and hurriedly sought refuge. Though his movements were swift and silent, the heavy bag trailing behind him betrayed his presence with faint sounds. Officer Mu Mu's keen ears detected it. Who is there? He called, aiming his weapon towards the source of the noise. Come out, or I will fire. The officers behind him raised their weapons, directing them at a large pillar. Suspecting someone was concealed there, the audience in the live stream felt their hearts race. Oh no, my boss Han has been discovered by the police. What a thrill. Han Li thought, I'm surrounded by more than a dozen officers. What should I do? I need help, urgently. Officer Mu Mu gestured to his comrades. Let us encircle him. Shut up, he shouted. Fear not the enemy like a god, but dread teammates who are as foolish as pigs. Several officers maneuvered to flank from the sides, while Officer Moo Moo approached head-on, step by step. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. Officer Moo Moo and his fellow officers converged behind the pillar, sealing off all escape routes. Don't move. Let us see how you get away now. A cold breeze swept through. Behind the pillar, there was nothing. What? No one. Not far away. Hanley had already relocated and seized his phone, activating the system to unleash the sprinklers within the bank. In an instant, torrents of water cascaded down, catching Officer Moo Moo and his team off guard. What on earth? Who activated the sprinklers? I can't see. Amidst the chaos, Hanley mimicked Officer Moo Moo's voice, shouting. He ran to the right. Quick, pursue him. Hurry. Want to escape? In your dreams. The officers dashed to the right without hesitation. What? Am I a decoy now? Officer Moo Moo reacted in disbelief. Return quickly. You have all been deceived. That was not me. Go chase after them. They are getting away. The officers stood bewildered, utterly confused. What is happening? Is it a case of split personality? Frozen in place, they were at a loss for what to do. An opportunity arose. Hanley maneuvered the vehicle, deftly bypassing the bumbling officers and making his escape through the bank's gaping entrance. The audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. Oh, what a brilliant move. How is this even possible? Officer Moo Moo exclaimed. What a useless teammate. This is a disaster. Chapter 131, a major incident. The Emperor is challenging me? A night of 100 demons? Several police cars received Officer Moo Moo's signal and sped towards the bank. Upon disembarking, Chief Ingzhou spotted a frantic figure rushing towards him, shouting, Not good, not good. The general manager? Hanley, disguised as the general manager, feigned panic, calling out, Quickly, quickly. There are robbers inside. He had truly mastered the essence of acting. His every gesture was extraordinarily convincing. No wonder he was revered as the general manager. He embodied the role perfectly. I almost believed him myself. As the officers heard this, they were convinced by his demeanor and became increasingly anxious. What? Come with me. We must apprehend this shameless robber. Chief Ingzhou, not daring to waste a moment, rushed into the bank, fearing the robber would escape. If they had only turned back at that moment, they would have noticed that the once frantic general manager now wore a calm expression. A smile playing at the corners of his mouth. What a fool to deceive. The audience in the live stream was in an uproar. He is smiling. I can't take it anymore. Hanley's laughter is going to kill me. Ha! The naive fool exclaimed. Oh no, I've been tricked. Hanley observed as the officers entered the bank, then stealthily retrieved a large bag of valuables from the nearby bushes. He boldly strolled into the dark alley. Hanley, have melded into the shadows. Meanwhile, within the bank, after the doors were sealed, the officers turned to Officer Moo Moo, utterly perplexed. What has transpired? Officer Moo Moo held his forehead, overwhelmed with frustration, unable to comprehend how Hanley had eluded them yet again. For the second time. This is intolerable. Is Hanley our nemesis in Ingzhou? What on earth is he incapable of? A hacker, a bomb maker, and agile beyond belief. Could he be the martial king of Huaxia? What happened, Officer Moo Moo? An arriving officer inquired, only to be met with chaos. At that moment, one officer emerged, dragging the general manager behind him, and reported to Officer Moo Moo. This is the general manager. What? The officers stood frozen. If this is the general manager, then who was the one directing them at the entrance? Foolishness. It was Hanley in disguise. Infuriated, Chief Ingzhou had never felt so thoroughly played, as if he were a mere pawn in a game with no end. It was utterly revolting. Is it still possible to pursue him? Get out of my sight. All of you leave. From the depths of a shadowy alley emerged a young man, adorned with a subtle smile and eyes brimming with shrewdness. Hanley sauntered down the street, dragging a substantial bag behind him, exuding an air of nonchalance as if he were merely out for a leisurely stroll. Passers-by inquired, Hey, what's in the bag? To which he replied, Money. The onlookers, perceiving his earnestness, assumed it was a jest and laughed heartily. In the live stream, viewers were left bewildered, exclaiming, What in the world? He is parading around with stolen goods worth millions right in the midst of a bustling commercial street. Truly bold. The chat erupted in excitement, hailing him as the most formidable of individuals. Hanley remarked, A true master remains humble and unassuming. Unfazed by the crowd, he continued his walk, drawing admiration from those around him. Suddenly, Hanley's keen eyes spotted a thief attempting to pilfer something. Swiftly, he seized the culprit, exclaiming, Hey, where do you think you're going? With deftness, he subdued the thief, earning accolades from the onlookers. What a good citizen, they exclaimed. The grateful victim, a young woman, expressed her appreciation and even invited Hanley to her home to see her cat perform tricks. Hanley declined, bemused by the absurdity of the offer. Do you really think cats can dance? Who are you trying to fool? He replied, to which she responded with disbelief, insisting he misunderstood her intentions. Amidst the throng of admirers, Hanley departed the street, following the GPS coordinates on his phone to a nearby corner where a staff member awaited him, an individual from Ingzhou. You've arrived? Hanley placed the bag down, saying, It's all here, settle the account. The staff member crouched to open the bag, eyes widening in astonishment at the glittering gold within. My eyes, so dazzling, he exclaimed, never having encountered such a treasure in his lifetime. He glanced at Han Li, stunned. You've robbed once and returned for a second haul. Mr. Han Li, would you consider accepting installment payments? Han Li responded, perplexed. There's no choice. The production team has been completely drained. All right, let us proceed with installments. The staff member sighed in relief, transferring a sum to Han Li's account. We'll start with this amount and discuss the rest later. By the way, when will you return to Huaxia? Han Li, taken aback, replied, what do you mean? Are you trying to rush me out? The audience in the live stream echoed his confusion, expressing their astonishment at the situation. Please, just go, one urged. But I just arrived. Han Li lamented, sighing deeply. How lonely it is to be invincible. When will I encounter a worthy challenge? The staff member felt a twitch in his eyelid as he watched the devilish figure beneath the street lamp laughing maniacally, filled with trepidation. When Han Li returned to the inn, it was already late at night, yet the lights within were still aglow. Not yet asleep? One could surmise they were engaged in the division of spoils. Han Li rubbed his hands together, relishing the prospect of yet another distribution of wealth. The second heist was solely his undertaking, not a collective effort. How could this be? Madness. A few exclamations echoed through the air. Pushing open the door, Han Li was met not with the jovial scene of camaraderie and the sharing of loot, but rather a group standing together, seemingly in deliberation. What is the matter? Quan Zhizhai exclaimed in surprise upon seeing Han Li return alive. By the heavens, you truly made it back. He continued, in your words, that is quite impressive. Spider stepped forward to elucidate. Just now, the Ingzhou production team issued us a challenge. A challenge? Aren't they on the brink of bankruptcy? A ninja emerged, his expression grave, declaring, this time, it is sponsored by our emperor, and the target is us. Wait, the emperor is involved? Han Li was taken aback. He had heard that this figure was the most powerful in Ingzhou, daring to challenge mere insignificant characters like them. The rewards were indeed enticing, yet the challenge was formidable. A collective sigh arose from the group, as if they were all too aware of their limitations. Robbing a bank had never been this daunting. Han Li was curious about the nature of this challenge posed by the emperor of Ingzhou. What challenge? The others turned to him, their expressions devoid of warmth. The Night Parade of 100 Demons. Chapter 132. 8 million, I bet on myself. The Night Parade of 100 Demons? Han Li recalled it as an eerie legend recorded in Ingzhou, cloaked in mystery. What could it entail? At that moment, a versatile staff member emerged, explaining to Han Li, the Night Parade of 100 Demons is a challenge established by our emperor. Participants will be pursued by over 100 police officers within the ancient city of Ingzhou, and survival within the allotted time frame constitutes victory. Failure results in permanent elimination from the show. Thus, when Spider and the others heard of this challenge, their hearts were filled with both excitement and trepidation. Drawn by the exorbitant rewards offered by the emperor, yet deeply concerned about the exceedingly high elimination rate. Normally, a criminal facing a dozen officers would find it quite taxing. Even those of their caliber would struggle under the relentless pursuit of 100 officers. Quan Zhizhai's countenance darkened, realizing that elimination would render all their prior efforts futile. Of course, you may choose not to participate, as this is merely an optional challenge, the staff member interjected, a hint of mockery in their gaze. Oh, weren't you all so formidable before? Robbing banks, were you? And now? Afraid? A heavy silence fell upon the group. Quan Zhizhai was the first to speak. I forfeit. The risks are too great. It is not worth my while. With the bounty from the bank heist, he had enough to retire comfortably back home. Why jeopardize everything he had achieved? Only a fool would undertake such a venture. Leaning against a pillar, Spider also declined, stating, I have no interest in this. It seems she preferred the elegance of a sniper rifle. Among the 5 individuals, 2 have already declined, revealing a palpable fear of this challenge. Alas, true men never retreat. David stepped forward. I volunteer. Let us strive, transforming a bicycle into a motorcycle. Cough cough, I too shall partake. The ninja, shrouded in shadow, yearned to challenge himself. The crew turned to the final, pivotal figure. So, as their captain, the formidable Han Li, what is your choice? All eyes turned to the silent Han Li behind them. Han Li replied, I volunteer. Just those 3 words sent the live stream's audience into a frenzy. Who else? Damn it, it's ignited. Han Li's reputation soared. Meanwhile, the production team from Ingzhou, watching the live stream, was elated. Upon hearing Han Li's declaration, the director exuberantly waved his arms. Yes, yes. If Han Li is eliminated, our Ingzhou production team can avoid bankruptcy. And this emperor's challenge? Elimination is inevitable. Have these few who volunteered lost their minds? Baka, this is splendid. The director wore a sly grin. Han Li, prepare for your demise. In the highest echelons of Ingzhou's government, an elderly man, the emperor of Ingzhou, glared furiously at a photograph. Surrounding him were the renowned chiefs of the Ingzhou police, each visibly anxious, wiping beads of sweat from their brows. Baka, not even one Huaxiao person can be dealt with properly. He slammed the photograph of Han Li onto the table, subsequently retrieving a dagger to pin it down. This time, it is your final opportunity. Huh. The chiefs stood up, assuring the emperor of their commitment. As they departed, shadowy figures materialized around the emperor, appearing ghostly and elusive. Clad in uniform black ninja attire, their eyes gleamed with intensity. Emperor, You will disguise yourselves as officers and thoroughly humiliate this Huaxia individual. The emperor's teeth clenched with rage. To eliminate Han Li, he had dispatched the royal guard, each member a top-tier ninja, skilled in the art of silent killing. Adept at handling international assassination cases. Taking down a Huaxiao individual would be a mere trifle. Of course, this action contravened the show's regulations, but the emperor was unperturbed. I care not. Baka, I shall humiliate this Huaxia person. The ninja legion received their orders in silence, retreating back into the inky shadows, vanishing without a trace. Yingzhou trembled. The emperor's nocturnal specter of death propelled the excitement of the criminal roleplay program to unprecedented heights. Households ceased watching other programs, eagerly awaiting this spectacle. Yes, this time that Huaxiao individual cannot escape. Fool, how dare he be so arrogant? Quick, look, it's about to begin. On the screen, the production team's truck arrived at a special inn, where several staff members escorted 3 masked individuals towards the vehicle. Among the masked figures, one donned an eagle mask, another a ninja mask, but undoubtedly, it was the last mask, intricately carved with a dragon, that captured the attention of all Yingzhou citizens. A pair of vividly animated dragon eyes exudes an air of regal authority, as if they might spring to life at any moment. A netizen from Yingzhou remarked, "What an audacious dragon. The craftsmanship is exquisite," and the live stream in Han Li's room erupted with fervent cheers. A new mask, a limited edition divine dragon mask. Han Li declared, "This time, I shall take it seriously." It must be said that when the divine dragon of Huaxia made its appearance, the masks of the other 2 participants paled in comparison. Han Li was hoisted onto a vehicle, flanked by staff members. The 3 of them were transported for quite some time until, at last, the driver turned around and announced their arrival. All viewers of the live broadcast were filled with excitement, for they were on the verge of witnessing the most exhilarating Yuri-ai Yashiki ever. The staff equipped the 3 participants with specialized wristbands. The countdown began. 5 hours, survive for 5 hours, and victory would be theirs. The 3 were unceremoniously tossed from the vehicle, guided by dedicated crew members into the grand ancient city before them, deposited at random locations. David exhaled sharply. Damn, I am determined to outlast everyone. He placed a bet, predicting he would be the first to be eliminated. At 1, David's judgment seemed impaired, but he pressed on. Online, others began to wager on who would survive until the end and who would be the first to be eliminated, with more and more participants joining the fray, resulting in an astounding pool of funds. However, uncertainty loomed over the event, leading most to wager only modest amounts. No high rollers dared to go all in, save for a few, who bid over $1 million. The staff member leading Han Li chuckled. What a pity. What do you mean? Han Li inquired. You could have returned home with a handsome bank reward, yet you choose to court death. What are the people of Huaxia thinking? The staff member believed Han Li would not last 5 hours. Unperturbed, Han Li smiled and replied, Could you do me a favor? Please hand me my phone. This was no trouble at all. The staff member passed him the device, and Han Li deftly entered his password. All set. Meanwhile, on the other end, those managing the bets online were suddenly taken aback, for they noticed a mysterious account placing an astonishing wager of 80 million. 80 million. What the? As they scrutinized further, they realized this unknown account had gone all in, betting everything on one person to survive until the end. Han Li, the Huaxia participant. No way. If this stranger were to win, they would owe him nearly 200 million, given the odds. The prospect was terrifying. Yet the prerequisite was that Han Li had to be the last one standing. Was that even possible? Laughter erupted among the crowd. Has this guy's brain been run over by a truck? Haha. Brothers, we are about to strike it rich. This is practically free money. They were almost certain that the 80 million had already been secured, for surely no one would survive to the end. Meanwhile, beneath the night sky, as the countdown concluded within the ancient city of Yingzhou, an ancient gate slowly rose. In the darkness emerged countless crimson glows, each revealing the grinning faces of malevolent spirits. Chapter 133. The malevolent spirits emerge, surrounding the temple. Officer Mu Mu donned the Demon King mask and raised his firearm, shouting, Charge forth. A throng of figures surged into the fray, dark and ominous, eliciting a palpable tension among onlookers. This was no mere police force. It felt as if an army of invaders had descended upon the village. The sheer number was staggering, prompting a reconsideration of plans. Yingzhou cannot be underestimated, he thought, as hundreds of officers, disguised as malevolent spirits, swiftly strategized into 3 divisions, encircling various locations. Each towering building within the city was manned with skilled snipers, surveying the surroundings with a comprehensive 360-degree vigilance. Astonishingly, they had even deployed armored vehicles. Officer Mu Mu felt the weight of impending chaos as he recognized renowned officers from other parts of Yingzhou, each a formidable adversary. How can we possibly lose? He pondered. Meanwhile, in a decrepit residence, David awoke and removed his blindfold, surveying his disorienting surroundings. What the hell is this desolate place? Which way is north? He cursed, dismissing the thought as he resolved to find weapons first. The production team had promised to scatter weapons and special items throughout the ancient city for them to discover. I need to disguise myself, he mused, hastily grabbing a trash can to wear as a makeshift helmet. Venturing out into the streets, he wandered aimlessly, blissfully unaware of being unspotted. Huh, I am truly a genius. He rejoiced internally, believing his disguise surpassed that of any ninja. However, not far above him. Several officers wearing blue demon masks had already targeted him through their scopes. They had been observing this peculiar figure for some time, bewildered by his antics. What is wrong with this guy? How has he survived this long? One officer remarked. Orders from above instructed them to ignore him and focus on locating the Huaxia individual. Indeed, David's whereabouts had been tracked, and the Yingzhou officers remained unperturbed. Such an ineffectual character could be easily dealt with. The real challenge lay with Han Li. Suddenly, the sniper felt a chilling presence beside him. As he turned, he found a dagger pressed against his neck. What? He gasped. A ninja had ambushed the unsuspecting sniper, swiftly eliminating him and his companions, thereby seizing control of the tower. An old saying in Huaxia rings true: those who stand high can see far. Rather than blindly searching for weapons, he had wisely occupied the highest point, allowing him to survey the entire ancient city, discern enemy positions, and locate the production team's concealed armaments. Eureka! The ninja quickly identified several weapon caches. Simultaneously, he spotted a large group of malevolent spirits scouring the area, creating a rather intimidating scene. Then I shall venture to the right, he resolved, stealthily acquiring a sniper rifle before preparing to depart. Suddenly, sensing something amiss, he whipped around but saw nothing. Once he left, several shadowy figures emerged, adorned in fanged demon masks and clad in black attire, trailing him in hopes of uncovering the Huaxia individual. In an instant, several figures vanished without a trace, leaving no remnants behind. This place appeared to be a site of worship. Han Li tore away a cloth strip and surveyed his surroundings. Soon noticing a lifelike fox skull placed prominently on a table, he picked it up, idly toying with it. Suddenly, with a thud, a few dark objects fell from beneath the fox skull. Han Li crouched down for a closer look, his face brightening with joy. Could it be? Were these not sensor mines? Indeed, several sensor mines rolled onto the ground. The viewers in the live stream reacted with disbelief. What luck he has. Wait a minute. No way. Don't pick it up, Han. You don't want to shorten your lifespan. Han Li mused. Has the heavens finally bestowed their favor upon me? If I don't collect them, what a missed opportunity. After thoroughly assessing the area, he realized that this temple was, in fact, an excellent ambush point. Rather than venturing outside in search of danger, it would be far more prudent to lie in wait and reap the benefits. Without hesitation, Han Li buried the sensor mines in a most insidious manner beneath the floorboards, ensuring that even the slightest pressure would trigger their discovery. He then rigged the temple door with a mechanism. The moment someone entered, the door would automatically seal shut. By the time they realized what had happened, it would be too late. They would find themselves trapped, unable to move or call for help. A perfect strategy. Having completed his preparations, Han Li adorned himself with the fox skull and donned the ceremonial attire of the temple. Sitting upright on the main seat, as if he were a statue, unknowing observers would surely mistake him for a sculpted figure. A while later, a commotion arose outside as a group of searchers approached. They were officers from the Kanto region, preferring not to associate with others and thus operating independently. A band of cowards, they thought. Isn't it just a single Chinese individual? We Kanto folk pride ourselves on our individuality. Indeed, no one could command them. Hey, there's a temple. Let us check it out. Perhaps we'll stumble upon something extraordinary. This small team was cautious, refraining from rushing inside until they had thoroughly surveyed the area. Once they confirmed it was safe, they lowered their guard. I need to use the restroom. How embarrassing, go ahead. The others entered the temple first to see what they could uncover. It's enormous. I heard there were ghost sightings here. Don't scare me. They chuckled, completely oblivious to the great door slowly closing behind them. Look, there's a statue. Not far off, on the main seat, sat a figure resembling a fox skull dressed in human clothing. Upon seeing it, the group was startled. It's so lifelike. Baka, you nearly scared me to death. It looks just like a real person. Shouldn't we leave? The longer we look at this statue, the more it feels unsettling. It seems as if the fox is watching us. Some scoffed. You're such a coward. Just then, a loud bang echoed, abruptly interrupting the group. They jumped, turning around in alarm. The temple door had eerily swung shut. One person pressed a hand to their chest, unable to remain any longer. This place feels cursed, they thought, eager to depart. However, to their astonishment, the three individuals behind remained utterly motionless. Even more perplexingly, they discovered that these three maintained the same posture. Drops of perspiration trickled down from his forehead. What on earth is happening? He took a step forward, and with that very step, an unusual sensation surged beneath his feet, followed by a crisp crackling sound. An icy shiver coursed through him, and he immediately halted, ceasing to lift his foot. As a senior officer, he was well aware of the ominous touch of a landmine. Damn it, we've fallen into a trap. It's an ambush. No wonder these three dared not move. They were standing on a landmine. The four of them could only maintain their stance, striving to distribute their weight carefully, as pressure bore down upon them like a mountain. Although they understood that the landmine was not genuine, no one wished to be eliminated. What should we do? Help. Nani. He is trained in mine clearance. He can save us. Call for him quickly. Thus, they hurriedly shouted Nani's name to the outside. However, unbeknownst to them, with the door shut. Their voices could not penetrate the barrier. Instantly, a sense of despair welled up within them. Gradually, the atmosphere around them felt akin to hell, tormenting their very souls. Sweat dripped onto the floor. Holding one posture drained considerable stamina, compounded by the constant threat of imminent detonation. The psychological strain was immense. I can't hold on any longer. Damn it, don't give up. Who on earth set this up? Creak. Just then, the temple doors were pushed open. Chapter 134. The first eliminated contestant emerges. As the doors swung open, everyone turned in unison. It was none other than Nani. Nani, come save us. Be careful. There are landmines here. Yes, we have hope now. Elation surged among them. Nani was a professional in mine disposal. Sensor landmines. Nani was taken aback. This was truly frightening. Don't be afraid. I have a method. He began to investigate for hidden landmines, crouching down beside them, prepared to defuse the peril. A sigh of relief escaped the four, as a heavy weight lifted from their hearts. Just then, an unexpected change occurred. The previously motionless statue suddenly sprang to life. Leaping before Nani. Nani? He gazed ahead, fixated on the fox-like head before him. The fox's cold, piercing eyes appeared eerily under the dim light. To the others, Han Li resembled a ghostly figure draped in fox fur, clawing and exuding a greenish glow. Damn it, the statue came to life? Han Li suddenly tilted his head. What are you looking at? Nani. Ah, it's a ghost. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted. Han Li, no? I haven't even made a move yet. Is it really this terrifying? Ha ha ha. I can't breathe from laughing. Such a cowardly little life. The four, terrified, inadvertently triggered the landmine, leading to their simultaneous elimination. They had heard tales of hauntings here, so they genuinely believed they had fallen under a curse. Terrified and trembling, he cried out desperately, "Spare me. I haven't bathed in days. I'm sick, please don't eat me." His voice echoed with desperation. "Ah, I'm dying." Observing a group of men donned in fearsome masks weeping together, one could hardly discern who the true fiends were. The audience in the live-streaming room erupted in disbelief. Is this it? Who is the real monster here? It's like a joke. Even the legendary spirits are frightened out of their wits by our Han. Laughter erupted. Han, your skills are exceptional. Thus, the conflict was resolved with startling ease. Han Li shook his head in disbelief. So, the legendary spirits were terrified by me? Where's the logic in this? Behind the scenes, the production team was baffled. Director, why were the spirits so frightened? The Chinese director consoled. Well, this child is quite unruly. Let us encourage him to be more courteous. My apologies for scaring your people from Yingzhou. I will ensure he is properly reprimanded. The Yingzhou director, covering his face in frustration, seethed with humiliation. This is a tremendous disgrace to Yingzhou. Only when Han Li removed his fox mask, revealing his true dragon mask, did the four eliminated contestants realize that the monsters were merely Han Li in disguise. You rogue. They recalled their earlier disgrace and were instantly incensed, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Han Li swiftly confiscated their gear and departed the temple, intending to utilize the terrain to gradually dismantle his foes, much like before. He even contemplated provoking them further. If the police chief's abilities were as mediocre as before, Han Li could confidently declare victory. As he traversed a street, collecting scattered equipment, he approached a corner. Just as he was about to proceed, a thunderous explosion erupted, akin to a bomb detonation. Startled, Han Li pressed against the wall, cautiously peering around the corner. He witnessed a man with a Gatling gun unleashing a barrage in a certain direction. Damn it, everyone perish. The man's eyes were bloodshot as he raged. David. So ferocious? Yet, as soon as the thought crossed Han Li's mind, an astonishing scene unfolded before him. After a flurry of gunfire, ominous red lights emerged from the rising smoke, slowly advancing towards David. The rhythmic sound of boots marching in unison echoed like the drums of an ancient battlefield, testing the enemy's resolve. Suddenly, enormous black iron shields pierced through the smoke, revealing themselves. Han Li stood in shock. These were shields once used in ancient warfare. A legion of fiends, organized like an army, raised their shields in formation, encircling David in a semicircle. Damn it, you're seeking death. David frantically aimed his Gatling gun at them, but the bullets merely ricocheted off the shields, causing no damage whatsoever. Before long, the shield-wielding army had completely cut off David's escape route. Panicking, he realized, these shields are invulnerable. No matter how I shoot, I cannot break through. With an all-seeing gaze, Han Li hesitated, contemplating whether to intervene and rescue the beleaguered individual. Yet, in that fleeting moment, a scene unfolded that left him utterly astounded. The phalanx of shield-bearing soldiers parted, making way for an array of officers from Yingzhou, each wielding distinctive katana, their faces obscured by blue demon masks. Recklessly charging toward the isolated and defenseless David at the center. Devoid of ammunition, David resembled a cornered beast, bereft of any means to resist. Fuck! With that anguished cry, an onslaught of blue demons engulfed him, the chilling sound of blades striking flesh reverberating through the air, akin to the torment of a butcher at work. The gruesome symphony of agony echoed along the street until David, now marred with countless gashes, was finally released. Amidst the throng, a figure adorned with a Demon King mask emerged, the chief of Yingzhou. He dismissed the katana-wielding officers and stepped forward, effortlessly lifting the battered David with one hand. "Fuck, bitch." David spat defiantly at the man. "Baka, you're dead, bastard." The chief commanded the others to cease their assault and set David free, subsequently drawing a katana and pressing it against David's neck, his voice cold as ice. Execution. In a flash, the blade gleamed, and a shrill scream pierced the air as David collapsed, cradling his head in despair. The deep crimson mark upon his neck signified Ingzhou's triumph. Thus, the first elimination was realized. The Ingzhou officer, observing David's struggles, let out a derisive laugh. The once formidable contender, Officer Mu Mu, seemed trivial in comparison. The viewers from Ingzhou erupted in fervor. "Yoshi, we are invincible. How dare these insects provoke us? Baka, eliminate them all." The media, invigorated, boisterously proclaimed that within a mere 20 minutes, the Ingzhou officer had dispatched the American contender David with effortless ease. The victory was preordained. Trending searches for Han Li? Utter nonsense. This was a complete rout. Even opportunistic Ingzhou streamers proclaimed grandiloquently that Han Li, a mere clown, would falter within a minute when faced with a legitimate officer. On the internet, countless Americans wept, not only mourning David's elimination leading to their losses, but also feeling the sting of Ingzhou's scorn. A disgrace. Meanwhile, netizens from Huaxiao expressed their concerns, fearing that their invincible idol, Han Li, would be subjected to such brutal slaughter, unable to raise his head in defiance. The atmosphere shifted dramatically. Han Li observed the formidable army, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. He withdrew, recognizing that although David's intellect may falter, his combat prowess was commendable. Yet, before such a vast force, he was merely a mantis attempting to stop a chariot. Were he in David's position, he too would likely not endure for long. At this juncture, Han Li began to comprehend the terrifying might of Ingzhou's military. This knight of 100 demons was far from ordinary. Just as he resolved to depart, his body suddenly froze. A crimson appeared on his forehead. It was a sniper's laser sight. Chapter 135, the shot that ignited everything. Han Li gazed at the crimson mark on his forehead, his reflexes sharp as ever. Suddenly, his figure swayed, and his pace quickened. Bang! A specially crafted projectile struck the ground where he had just vacated, emitting a plume of red smoke. A sniper? Where? Cursed be it. The audience in the live stream instantly tensed up. This is bad. He has encountered a sniper. Han S at a disadvantage. Damn it, this is practically hopeless. At that moment, far away atop a towering structure, a sniper grinned wickedly, observing Han Li as if he were a mere plaything. Ah, struggle as you might. At such a great distance, Han Li would be utterly oblivious to his presence. The sniper held an absolute advantage, poised to eliminate this notorious criminal with a single decisive blow. I shall achieve great merit today. The next shot will seal your fate. Han Li felt a throbbing headache. Dodging that bullet had been sheer luck, but the next one? Who could say? Just as his frustration mounted, a voice echoed in his mind. Crisis detected. Temporary skill granted. Eagle Eye. As the Eagle Eye activated, Han Li felt a sharp sting in his vision, and instantly, his previously narrow field of view expanded exponentially, revealing an intricate tapestry of buildings, foliage, and trees. No one could escape the gaze of these eagle eyes. Incredible. This skill is utterly formidable. Quickly, he locked onto a tower, his gaze fixating on the red-clad demon behind a sniper rifle, grinning menacingly. Got you now? You little fool. The sniper was momentarily taken aback, as if he sensed Han Li's gaze directed toward him. Was it merely a figment of his imagination? Die, you fool. Bang. A bullet was unleashed. This time, he was certain of victory. The sniper even began to pose, stylishly lowering his rifle, ready to bask in the announcement of Han Li's elimination. 3, 2, 1. Huh, what is happening? He turned back, raising his sniper rifle once more, only to find that Han Li appeared perfectly unharmed through the scope. What? He dodged it? Impossible. The sniper, refusing to accept defeat, fired again, determined to witness Han Li's downfall. Yet, to his astonishment, a surreal scene unfolded. It seemed as if Han Li had anticipated the bullet's trajectory, bending low just in time to evade it. He dodged the bullet. Time and again, Han Li effortlessly evaded the sniper's shots, even executing a backflip on one occasion. This was utterly humiliating for the sniper from the distant land of Ingzhou. His eyelids twitched in disbelief. It was akin to being a target, only to find that not a single bullet had struck home after an entire magazine was expended. What absolute nonsense. The live stream audience erupted. This is exhilarating. Han Li is soaring high. Little son, is he hacking? Can't handle the game? I've recorded everything. This is destined to go viral. Goodness, that reaction speed. He is like the Flash. Meanwhile, under the trifecta of agile maneuverability, extreme sports, and eagle eye, Han Li was indeed capable of evading bullets, albeit temporarily. However, he could not linger. If he tarried any longer, the vile army of demons would soon arrive. He retrieved a sniper rifle he had previously scavenged, only to discover, to his dismay, that the scope was broken. Alas, without a scope, he might as well be blind. It seemed that even the heavens were in his favor. Han Li, prepare to meet your end. The netizens from Ingzhou began to mock, incredulous that he could hit anything without a scope. Did he think himself a marksman? The sniper atop the tower was preparing to reload his magazine, convinced that he could not miss his target. No scope? What of it? Han Li, undeterred, lifted the scopeless sniper rifle, employing Eagle Eye to lock onto the enemy atop the tower. What? Could he possibly be aiming for me? The Ingzhou sniper was momentarily taken aback, then erupted into laughter, deeming Han Li a fool. He was not concerned about the possibility of his opponent fleeing. Truly, fortune favored him. In the next instant, Han Li activated the gunslinger skill, his gaze unwavering as he swung his arm and pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet shot forth like a sharpened blade, exuding an overwhelming momentum. It indeed startled the sniper. However, the bullet merely whizzed past without hitting its mark. Heh, is that all? The sniper almost believed it, cursing under his breath. Who did this fool think he was? Yet, before he could savor his laughter for even 3 seconds, the bullet, having curved in its trajectory, struck him squarely on the back of the head. He touched the paintball on the back of his head. Wearing a bewildered expression, Han Li, without a backward glance, stowed away his weapon and departed the battlefield, making no delay. The sniper? Netizens from Ingzhou. Viewers in the live stream. Holy smokes. Did he just curve the bullet? Damn, that was 100 steps bullseye. It gave me goosebumps. A curved trajectory. Is this truly achievable by someone? Folks, I practice shooting, and with this shot, even God would fall. This shot was nothing short of invincible. It struck a chord in the hearts of countless viewers and snipers alike. In unison, they exclaimed, the ancestral spirit has manifested. In a frigid corner of the world, a man clad in a heavy coat gazed at the live stream while cradling an old sniper rifle, caressing it. Surrounded by countless corpses, he was known as the White Death, and today, he may have encountered his lifelong rival. At the Dongyang police station in Huaxia, Director Jiang, sipping tea, stood up in excitement as he witnessed Han Li's shot, fists raised in triumph. Well done. Tea scattered across the floor. Han Li's shot had shattered the confidence of innumerable Ingzhou netizens. Surely he must be dazed? It must be that he is merely lucky? Baka. It was just a stroke of fortune. Look at how excited the Huaxia people are. The more frantic the Ingzhou folks became, the more elated the Huaxia people grew. By the time the army arrived, they found that Han Li had long since fled. The commander of the Blue Demon Army turned to the eliminated sniper they had brought in and inquired, did you not claim he was absolutely doomed? Sniper, I don't know. Everyone go search. Hey, just a little more, and he could eliminate this loathed emperor. However, that Han Li must be hiding, too scared to show himself, right? At this moment, in a certain part of the ancient city, a director, accompanied by a group of team members, was searching for the contestant's whereabouts. They had just received news from other directors that they had eliminated a contestant in a very short time. Unfortunately, that rascal Han Li managed to escape. I've heard that Han Li is quite formidable. Fear not. With so many of us, he wouldn't dare to come out. Indeed, with so many people, Han Li can only obediently hide away. Ha ha ha, like a rat. Indeed, Han Li must be so frightened that he is wet himself and is hiding. The online community of Ingzhou believes that Han Li has witnessed the prowess of their Ingzhou police force and dares not emerge. The advantage lies with them. Oh, not far away, a group of tourists appeared flustered, seemingly having wandered into the ancient city. They must be the ones who Haven team managed to leave. Oh, let me earn some goodwill. The director removed his mask, donned a smile, and approached the tourists. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in the ancient city is unusual at present. Please follow the staff to exit the city. I apologize for the inconvenience. The director walked towards the tourists, who nodded and began to leave in succession. At this moment, he noticed one tourist standing still, head lowered, seemingly oblivious to his surroundings. Perhaps busy recording a video, not hearing him. This tourist, please leave. Could you do me a favor? The tourist slowly raised his head, revealing a pair of bright eyes. Chapter 136, Assassination of the Director, the Anti-Japanese Movement Ignites. What favor? The Ingzhou director, concerned about his image, was more than willing to assist. The young man slowly lifted his chin, a wicked smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Your life? What? In an instant, smoke bombs were hurled by the young man, enveloping the area in a thick haze. At that moment, the young man, wearing a hat, suddenly raised his right hand, wielding a specially crafted dagger, and plunged it directly into the director's chest. Baka. Everything transpired so swiftly that there was no time to react. It was already over. The director stared in disbelief at his chest, the crimson mist left behind. Clenching his teeth in agony, he gazed at the young man. Who on earth are you? The young man produced a mask carved with a dragon and donned it. The director's eyes widened in shock, mouth agape. You are Han Li. Shoo. Han Li walked past his shoulder, whispering, you are already dead. Damn it, damn it. Han Li, how dare you? The director, scratching his head anxiously, could not deny that he had been eliminated. The audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. Mr. Han, you directly assassinated an opposing director? Unbelievable. I'm in shock. Provocation, an unabashed provocation. A direct slap in the face to the little day? Han Li, who else? As the smoke began to dissipate, the oblivious team rushed over to check on the director's condition. However, they discovered the esteemed director lay on the ground. His body sprawled with his feet in the air, a sign hanging from his neck. Upon closer inspection, it was evident he had been assassinated. A sharp intake of breath escaped as everyone around him froze, their expressions akin to that of encountering a ghost, each becoming acutely aware of their surroundings. Who dared to claim that Han Li would not emerge? They had just witnessed the director's assassination before their very eyes. Despite the efforts of the police chiefs to suppress the news, the truth was like fire that could not be contained. It swiftly reached the media in Yingzhou. Almost every journalist who laid eyes on the scene wore an expression of sheer terror. This was no mere assassination. It was a direct retaliation against the Yingzhou police. Unlike Han Li's previous strategic maneuvers, this time it was a frontal assault, an overwhelming display of raw power. Han Li was indeed capable of challenging the entire Yingzhou police force. In the live broadcast room, Professor Li suddenly rose, his face flushed with excitement as he raised his arms triumphantly. Well done. Eliminate all the small pests. The crowd murmured in agreement. I mean, Han Li has given us a lesson. Consider what we would do if such an event transpired in real life. The female host nodded in acknowledgement. Indeed, many current criminals harbor intentions of retaliating against the police, which certainly warrants attention. In this moment, everyone stood united with Han Li. There was no other course of action but to resist the invaders. Departing from the narrow path, Han Li deftly evaded the pursuing police, utilizing his temporary skill, Eagle Eye, which allowed him to survey a vast expanse of territory. Congratulations, host. You have assassinated your first police chief. Reward, skill, Master Ninja. Master Ninja. The essence of all ninjutsu is simply this. In the next instant, Han Li felt a peculiar transformation within his body. With the mastery of ninjutsu now at his disposal, he could assure that any Yingzhou ninja daring enough to confront him would find themselves swiftly outmatched. However, these small pests were indeed cunning. Every high tower housed a sniper, ever vigilant, akin to hounds tracking their prey below. Those who remained unaware could easily fall victim. Unfortunately for them, they had crossed paths with him. With a smile, he withdrew his sniper rifle, devoid of a scope, and channeled the spirit of a sharpshooter. He aimed and fired, taking down one Yingzhou sniper after another. At the Yingzhou command headquarters, the technical officer gasped as a sniper signal vanished from the map. This is bad. One of our snipers has been eliminated. The alarm spread. Me too. What? Commander Nagashima approached. His eyes fixated on the screen where red dots continued to disappear, indicating that the snipers were being dispatched at an alarming rate by the enemy. Only 2 competitors remained. Excluding their own nation's ninjas, the only one left was Han Li from Huaxia. This revelation left him even more astounded. What on earth is this Han Li capable of? Bang! Before one of the small pests could even pull the trigger, he was struck in the forehead, utterly crushed. Han Li lowered his weapon. Almost all the snipers stationed in the nearby towers had been dealt with by him, rendering the enemy incapable of tracking his movements. He took out his phone. Glancing at the time, 3 hours remained. If he wished, he could easily choose to conceal himself, utilizing the skills provided by the system to evade detection and wait for victory. Yet, such an outcome would be far too mundane. What he desired was to eliminate this band of miscreants. At that moment, a deafening explosion suddenly captured his attention. Between 2 towering buildings, a bridge erupted in flames, smoke billowing into the air. Then, a figure emerged from the haze, plummeting downwards. With the aid of Eagle Eye, Han Li discerned the identity of this figure. It was a ninja. Was he being pursued? The situation appeared dire. Should he intervene? Meanwhile, the ninja, using a parachute to land awkwardly, rolled to his side and struggled to his feet, clutching his chest, his eyes reddened with distress. He could hardly believe that this group had the audacity to set an ambush. As he entered the bridge, he found himself surrounded by a horde of police officers. Narrowly escaping with his life, now gravely injured, he knew he could not venture far and gritted his teeth, resolved to move forward. The cacophony of sirens echoed behind him, accompanied by the thunderous rumble of armored vehicles crushing the ground. These fiends were closing in swiftly. He dragged his weary body through the streets. But the net cast by his pursuers was simply too vast. There was nowhere to flee. Baka, it's our own people. Surrender. Yoshi, you're right, the ninja thought. The searching fiends were narrowing their scope, and it wouldn't be long before they captured him. Damn, there was no escape. The ninja gazed at a dead end ahead. He turned back, hearing the approaching footsteps of the police. They were nearly upon him. Baka, once he is eliminated, only Han Li will remain. Clenching his fists, the ninja felt a surge of unwillingness. How could he resign himself to defeat here? He yearned to continue challenging himself, to grow stronger. After all, he aspired to become the god of ninjas. Alas, fate seemed to conspire against him. I am finished. The ninja surrendered to despair as the footsteps drew ever nearer. Knowing he would soon be apprehended and cast out of the game. Just as the police were closing in, a hand suddenly emerged from the shadows, pulling him into concealment. Nanny? The ninja gasped in surprise, about to speak, but Han Li swiftly silenced him. Shoo! Upon recognizing the dragon mask, the ninja fell silent. Baka, where is he? He pondered, perplexed. Moments ago, he had distinctly heard Han Li's voice. The ninja's heart raced. The police were now almost face to face with them. How could they not be discovered? Yet, miraculously, the officers scanned over both him and Han Li, oblivious to their presence, and moved away in confusion. With wide eyes, the ninja turned to Han Li, realization dawning upon him. You possess ninjutsu. At that moment, everything clicked into place, and a name surfaced in his mind. You are Han Li. That man. Let us discuss this later, Han Li replied. He led the ninjas out, preparing to depart from that place. Just as they were sprinting away, two small figures unexpectedly approached them. Alarmed, Han Li furrowed his brow and reached behind him. Chapter 137, Legion Assembly. Han's situation now seems dire. This malevolent spirit is truly formidable. It terrified that Huaxia person. A crisp sound echoed, startling both individuals. It was the unmistakable sound of a trigger being pulled. Do I possess a firearm? Han Li brandished the weapon he had collected, aiming it at the two small figures. Ready to pull the trigger at any moment. The small figures, drenched in sweat, realized someone was standing behind them. Baka, don't be impulsive. Let us discuss this calmly. One of them quivered, his voice trembling. Bang. No, please. Han Li chuckled. I'm merely trying to frighten you. The small figure gasped, a demon. This is no jest. The audience in the live stream erupted in laughter. Han is truly mischievous. I adore him. The small figures were so frightened that their legs began to tremble. Just end it quickly, the injured ninja suggested. These two fools were utterly embarrassing. Tell me, where did you acquire the explosives? Han Li demanded. Having witnessed the explosion on the overpass. That kind of explosion could only result from the power of explosives. The ninja nodded. Indeed, these scoundrels had used explosives, otherwise he wouldn't have been left in such a predicament. Explosives? I have no idea. The small figure began to falter, stammering. Not being honest. Come here, Brother Han. I'll teach you a lesson. 3 minutes later, the small figure pleaded, please spare me. I've told you everything. It's in that old warehouse to the east, where we store a large amount of explosives. He knelt, bowing his head. It was unimaginable what they had endured. Bang, bang, bang. Han Li swiftly dispatched the two fools with a silenced firearm and, along with the ninja, made his exit. While evading danger, they headed straight for the Eastern Explosives warehouse. Han Li, be cautious of the snipers on the nearby towers. Previously, he had exerted considerable effort to eliminate a few of them. It's fine. I've taken care of them all. What? The ninja stood in shock, bewildered. How is that possible? How did you manage it? There were over 20 elite snipers. Han Li brandished a sniper rifle, shaking it slightly. This is how? A reflex sight? The ninja felt as though his entire worldview had shattered. Is this person even human? This is absurd. By the way, you mentioned wanting to practice ninjutsu with me. No, no such thing. Absolutely not. The ninja shook his head, denying Han Li any opportunity. By the way, what do you intend to do at the explosives warehouse? Han Li wore a playful smile. Of course, to stir up some trouble. The two proceeded unimpeded through the long street, arriving at an old warehouse in the east, where only a couple of small figures patrolled listlessly outside. This was a weapons resource depot they had previously discovered, and they had occupied it for whatever they could use. It's your time to shine. Ninja, with swift, silent precision. The ninja eliminated the two adversaries, retracting his shuriken and nodding subtly at Han Li. The two then entered the warehouse. In the distance, atop a towering building. Shadows flickered. The warehouse. Is it time to act? Wait, the moment has not yet arrived. A ninja produced a mobile phone, relaying the message, Moses, Moses. We have located Han Li, near East Street. Hurry. What? That ninja escaped? The director, adorned with a pig-headed mask, fumed with frustration, bouncing up and down. After all his careful planning, he was so close yet so far. Infuriating. Suddenly, his phone rang. Moses, Moses? San Haishin, we received your message. We've pinpointed Han Li's location at East Street. The higher-ups want us to gather and seize him. What splendid news. San Haishin pondered momentarily, recalling that East Street was near the explosives warehouse. However, Han Li was likely unaware of this. His subordinates were tight-lipped and would not divulge anything. All right, everyone. Let's move out. Simultaneously, the Shield, Samurai Legion, and Blue Demon Legion assembled, raising their blades and shouting. Ingzhou is invincible. To the west, countless police cars, led by an armored vehicle, raced towards East Street, revealing red demon masks, intent on rendezvousing with other teams. To the south, the Green Demon Legion, providing fire support under the director's command, advanced methodically towards their destination. This time, all factions were converging to confront Han Li in a decisive battle. The Ingzhou network erupted with excitement. Oh my, the Grand Assembly is incredible. This wave is solid. Crushing victory. Numerous media outlets seemed to reclaim Ingzhou's reputation, reporting that the Ingzhou police were about to ensnare Han Li and bring this farce to an end. Finally, it was nearing conclusion. Is it true? CEO Han is formidable. Fool, do you know how many police are gathering? Over 200. This is practically an army. The viewers in Han Li's live stream were the first to receive news from Ingzhou's media and instantly grew anxious. We're doomed. We're surrounded. CEO Han, run. Once the Demon Legion arrives, there will be no escape. In the live stream of the Huaxia program, the female host prayed earnestly. Heaven, please save contestant Han Li. Do not let him be eliminated in Ingzhou. In Huaxia, how could it be the small ones who eliminate? Professor Li held a replica map of the ancient city of Ingzhou, raising it to reveal an underground tunnel located to the east, which was a crucial passage for the Yingzhou police. An underground tunnel? Within the ancient city, the atmosphere was electric, with the shouts of countless small adversaries growing ever louder. Remember, Han Li is cunning. Officer Mu Mu, accompanied by his subordinates, advanced towards East Street. All potential dangers must be eradicated, understood? Hey, some police officers scoffed. Is Mu Mu getting old? This time, it's surely secure. Indeed, coward. We have over 200 people. A staggering numerical advantage that cannot be compensated for in any way. Unless Han Li is a Superman. Observing the formidable legion preparing to engage. The netizens of Yingzhou are almost frenzied. Ha ha, Han Li is destined to be eliminated. To be eliminated in Yingzhou is your honor, you Chinese bandit. What can Han Li possibly achieve against over 200? Yoshi, we have one. The few who opened the betting watched as the Yingzhou police prepared to capture Han Li, happily calling over a few female students to celebrate. Ha ha ha, that fool wagered 80 million. It is all ours now. We are about to strike it rich. This time, Han Li is doomed. Almost no miracle will occur. Inside the warehouse, while the ninjas remain puzzled, Han Li gazes outside, lost in thought. What's wrong? Nothing. Han Li turns back, picks up a bundle of explosives, and flashes his signature wicked grin. The big fish is on the hook. Chapter 138, a game within a game. What is he scheming? Will our actions expose us? One ninja expresses concern, but the others dismiss it as unnecessary. One speaks up, it matters not, at this distance. How could he possibly see us? Just then, the ninjas notice a figure emerge from the warehouse, lingering outside for a moment. It is none other than Han Li. Shall we take action? The lead ninja scoffs. A Chinese man is not worth my effort. Since the police are willing, let them handle it. The esteemed top ninjas of Yingzhou, who have taken countless international criminals, would not deign to acknowledge a mere passerby on a show. In any case, once the Yingzhou reinforcements arrive, Han Li will be unable to escape, with not a glimmer of hope. Let him live a little longer, they chuckle wickedly. On the other side, countless Yingzhou police donning grotesque masks gather, resembling an army pressing forth. Any criminal in the face of such a multitude will be annihilated. The respective directors meet as well. Officer Mu Mu addresses the other directors. We must not be complacent. This Chinese man is exceedingly cunning. Previously, during the Yingzhou government robbery case, Han Li made them suffer greatly, nearly costing them their positions. Now he harbors resentment. Brother Mu Mu, you are being overly cautious. This time, there will be no surprises. One director glances at the army of grotesque figures behind him, finding it hard to imagine how Han Li could possibly have a plan. What could he use to confront them? Merely hiding until victory would be a feat in itself. To think he could eliminate them? A fool's dream. Han Li's ambition to eradicate this army is akin to scaling the heavens. Officer Mu Mu wishes to persuade further, but a director wearing a red grotesque mask interrupts him, saying, Brother Mu Mu, you know the saying, in the face of absolute power, all schemes are rendered futile. If previously, the struggle against these robbers was one of intellect and strategy, then, this time, it was an overwhelming numerical advantage, a sheer display of might. A bold and audacious strategy that had no need to fear any underhanded schemes. How utterly absurd. The amassed legion of malevolent spirits began their march towards the eastern streets, accompanied by the incessant blaring of sirens and the thunderous roar of armored vehicles, kicking up clouds of dust. The onlookers were all aflame with excitement. As never before had such a grand operation of capture unfolded. According to the map, traversing the underground tunnel ahead would grant access to the eastern region, at which point Han Li would find himself ensnared like a fish in a barrel. Laughter echoed incessantly. Han Li, hands clasped behind his back, paced back and forth at the warehouse entrance, whistling nonchalantly, his demeanor remarkably composed. The audience in the live stream was perplexed. What the hell? The enemy is at our doorstep, and he's whistling? It was indeed a moment of bewilderment. As the saying goes, it is the calm before the storm. Knowing Han Li's nature, there was surely something amiss. The viewers understood that a formidable force, akin to an army of police officers, was advancing towards them. And once they arrived, Han Li would undoubtedly meet his demise. Yet, their anxiety was in vain. Within the program, Han Li remained blissfully unaware. What could he do? After a while, Han Li pushed open the warehouse door and stepped inside, never to emerge again. Is this fool not leaving? They laughed. Huh, even the notorious bandits of Huaxiao are not this foolish. Now, we need not lift a finger. From the rooftops, the ninjas could almost visualize Han Li being mercilessly beaten by countless police officers. A beautiful sight indeed. However, one pondered the whereabouts of the previous ninja. He was likely injured and too afraid to show himself. Understandably so, with such severe wounds, he could hardly employ his ninjutsu, and rushing out would be perilous. Next, they would simply await the arrival of the reinforcements. 10 minutes passed. Inside the warehouse, Han Li tossed a coin into the air. As he prepared to throw it again, a dart flew in, striking the coin and sending it spiraling away. From the shadows behind him, a figure emerged. It was the ninja. You're back? How did everything go? Han Li inquired. Everything proceeded according to your plan, the ninja replied, and Han Li nodded in satisfaction. How did you discover that band of ninjas? He questioned. Knowing that the ninjas themselves were unaware they had been followed, a source of great humiliation for them. Just a guess, the ninja replied. Never mind. Regardless, after this concludes, I shall obtain what I desire. This was the clandestine agreement between him and Han Li. In truth, Han Li had long since identified those tailing the ninjas and had deliberately exposed his location to lure the enemies in, intending to capture them all in one fell swoop. Indeed, Han Li aimed to eradicate those wretched little lives entirely. How could I not understand? What was the ninja up to? As the audience grappled with the conversation between Han Li and the ninja, a fan stepped forward, reminding everyone, think about it. Where did Han Li come from? A place? Isn't it where they store explosives? Instantaneously, countless netizens experienced an epiphany and quickly grasped the implications. The next moment, an overwhelming shock reverberated through the online community. An excitement soared to unprecedented heights. The live stream erupted in a frenzy of comments. Oh, indeed, my esteemed Han possesses an uncanny foresight. How could we be so powerless? What plan is this? Have I overlooked something? The atmosphere is charged with anticipation. The popcorn is ready. Let the performance commence. Who dared to claim my Han is out of the game? Step forward, and I assure you, I shall make you regret it. Han Li beckoned the ninja over. What is it? The ninja inquired. I have something remarkable to show you. As the curtain was drawn back, the ninja's expression morphed into one of astonishment as he turned to Han Li. Where did you acquire this? In the warehouse, I stumbled upon an unexpected delight. Han Li replied, giving it a gentle kick, satisfied with the tactile feedback. I heard that the ancient city is about to initiate a decisive battle. The minister from Yingzhou received the news, his face lighting up with delight. Excellent. At last, we can bring this Huaxiao individual to justice. He had previously heard how this competitor, Han Li, had been a source of immense frustration for numerous officials in Huaxia, eluding capture effortlessly. Now, with Yingzhou seizing the opportunity, wouldn't it be splendid to flaunt their success before Huaxia? As he spoke, he dialed a familiar Huaxia official. Hello, is this Director Jiang? Previously, you were attempting to apprehend Han Li, but to no avail. Far away in Huaxia, Director Jiang answered the call, seething with frustration. What is it? Oh, nothing much. Just wanted to inform you that Han Li is about to be eliminated by us. Do not worry, since you cannot handle it. We from Yingzhou will take care of it for you. Director Jiang, well aware of the newfound bravado behind this call, attributed it to Yingzhou's perceived advantage. Damn it, flaunting your success against us? What a despicable act. Yet, unable to refute, he hung up, seething with anger. Humph, who will have the last laugh remains to be seen. As the Yingzhou director set down the phone, he burst into hearty laughter, relishing the moment of triumph after being overshadowed by Huaxia law enforcement for so long. Oh, what a delightful turn of events. Suddenly, a technical officer turned and exclaimed, Report. We detected a peculiar countdown. What? A strange countdown? The Yingzhou minister approached. Noticing the surveillance screen had shifted, revealing a white number counting down. 10. The minister pondered, perplexed by the purpose of this countdown. Chapter 139. Deception is the essence of warfare. Listen up, my little fools. We are about to pass through the tunnel, which leads directly to East Street. I have examined the map. East Street has few exits and is rather small, making it the least expansive area in the ancient city, thus facilitating our capture efforts. Officer Mumu analyzed with precision. Excellent. The enemy remains unaware of our strategy. There are no unforeseen complications. This tunnel is an essential route. The only passage connecting to East Street, making it an ideal spot for an ambush. Having suffered at Han Li's hands, Officer Mumu continued sternly. Should we send someone ahead to scout? Just in case. With so many people involved, if there were indeed an ambush, it would be catastrophic. A director waved his hand dismissively, expressing some disdain towards Officer Mumu. Rest assured, the informants have been vigilantly monitoring Han Li's movements and have never strayed from East Street. How could there possibly be an ambush? Upon hearing this, Officer Mumu felt somewhat foolish for his earlier worries. Ultimately, he dispatched a few junior officers to casually inspect the tunnel. Only after confirming everything was clear did the large group continue their advance. Many of the junior officers were filled with rage and contempt for Officer Mumu. Fools. We are so many, yet the enemy consists of just one, and he cowers in fear. You might as well commit seppuku. Meanwhile, Minister Yingzhou instructed his subordinates to thoroughly investigate the breach in the system that had compromised their screens. After a while, a report came in. What? Our other systems have also been breached. Alarmingly, the loudspeaker began blaring the national anthem of Huaxia. This is bad. The emperor's image has been defaced. Nanny? The minister staggered, nearly losing his footing. What in the world? How could so many of Yingzhou's top technical officers be outmaneuvered by an unknown hacker? He realized no. This must be a member of the internationally ranked third, the Red Spider. Nanny. The others gasped in astonishment. That was a force capable of overpowering them with ease. At that moment, the countdown on the screen continued, the white numbers ticking down to 8. Tension filled the air as everyone began a brainstorming session. Could it be a countdown for a nuclear missile? The minister, clutching a bag and gasping for air, stared wide-eyed at the countdown. Suddenly, his phone rang. Upon answering, he was surprised to find it was a call from a director of a police station in Yingzhou. Moses? Ha, minister. Tell His Majesty the Emperor that we are about to apprehend the target. Wonderful. Where are you now? We are already at the tunnel's midpoint and about to exit. In the middle of the tunnel, the minister suddenly froze, then was struck with alarm, trembling all over. Moses, why aren't you smiling? We are about to win. This is bad. A grave situation. The minister's gaze was fixed on the white countdown on the screen. 5, 4. His expression became urgent as he shouted to the others, quick, exit the tunnel. Leave the tunnel. At that moment, most of the Yingzhou police force, the Ghost Brigade, were already deep within the tunnel, and the director on the phone was baffled. Why should we retreat? Victory is within our grasp. The minister, in a state of frantic urgency, barked, fools. There's an ambush in the tunnel. Hurry, get out. He had an ominous premonition that this mysterious countdown was directly linked to the situation at hand. 3. It's about to reach 0. An ambush? The director glanced around, noticing that the officers were moving steadily without any suspicious signs. How could there be an ambush? Minister, you are being overly cautious. The minister's eyes reflected despair as he fixated on the numbers on the screen. 1. It was all too late. Ding. As the sound echoed, a sudden explosion erupted. The procession was moving smoothly when suddenly, an enormous explosion reverberated, relentless in its onslaught. A searing wave of heat hurled the director into the air. The minister, clutching the phone, listened in horror to the frantic voice on the other end. Damn it, there are bombs. We are affected too. Report. Our convoy has been entirely incapacitated. The sound of explosions echoed like relentless hammer blows upon everyone in the command room. The minister, unable to withstand the pressure, felt his legs give way, collapsing to the ground, eyes glazed, lips trembling in disbelief. No, I refuse to believe this. In that moment, tears streamed down the faces of those present. Meanwhile, within the tunnel, the chaotic scene left Officer Moo stunned, as if struck by lightning. What just happened? We were on the verge of exiting. When did this occur? In the span of just a second or two, the entire situation had crumbled like a collapsing building. The screams reverberated in his ears, wails of despair, terror, and defiance. The fiends of Yingzhou had never anticipated such a turn of events. How could there be an unforeseen catastrophe? Suddenly, all broadcasts from Yingzhou were abruptly halted, leaving countless viewers in a state of bewilderment, unsure of what had transpired. In a warehouse, a ninja stood in shock, gazing at an armored vehicle, impressively equipped. He never expected such a treasure to be hidden here. Had David possessed this beforehand? Perhaps he wouldn't have been eliminated so swiftly. Let us go. Get in the vehicle. I'll take you to the skies. Han Li ascended to the driver's seat, quickly mastering the controls with his skills. Simultaneously, the countdown on his phone reached 0, signaling the commencement of the plan. But didn't you say someone was watching us outside? The ninja cautioned. What are you afraid of? They wouldn't dare stop us, Han Li replied confidently. The ninja ceased his hesitations, as he was not one to linger, and promptly entered the vehicle. Shortly thereafter, Han Li revved the engine. A roar of power ready to unleash. The armored vehicle, glowing with crimson light, charged through the warehouse doors like a ferocious bull. What? The ninjas stared in astonishment as the armored vehicle burst forth from the warehouse, evidently equipped with a Gatling gun. Fire at them, Han Li shouted. The ninja, gripping the Gatling gun, directed suppressive fire towards a group of assassins lurking on the rooftop. Take cover. The ninjas scattered, launching shurikens in every direction. The armored vehicle remained unscathed, leaving the ninjas speechless, their minds racing with expletives. Woohoo, we're off. Han Li maneuvered the armored vehicle, plowing through obstacles with reckless abandon. Soon, through the window, he spotted the tunnel ahead. Stop. He pulled out his phone, effortlessly infiltrating the tunnel's systems, monitoring, amplifying, all within his grasp. My goodness. The ninja, peering through binoculars, observed the billowing black smoke within the tunnel, his scalp prickling with dread. The anguished cries of the police could be heard echoing from within. The implications were dire. How dire the situation is, one can hardly fathom. The once mighty army now finds itself engulfed in a hellish scene of devastation. The architect of this calamity sits beside him, callously laughing. Han Li infiltrated the tunnel's PA system, cleared his throat, and called out, "Hello, can everyone hear me?" Simultaneously, within the tunnel, Han Li's deep voice resonated through every speaker, instantly capturing the attention of the surviving soldiers. They all looked up, only to hear a single phrase. All's fair in war, you little fools. In an instant, the soldiers were incensed. Surrender. We surrender. They shouted, their spirits crushed. Han Li, why don't you come out? My brother was eliminated. I will take this devil down. In the live stream, viewers were bewildered. Bombs. When were they planted? That countdown, is it for the bombs? An anxious voice from above exclaimed, my scalp is tingling. No one anticipated that such a vast tunnel was rigged with explosives. Done so stealthily. It was unfathomable. The soldiers quickly realized that the catastrophic scene unfolding before them was the handiwork of the man in front of them, evoking both terror and resentment. Let us charge out, they declared, forming a line with their specially designed shields, heading toward the exit. Just as their fighting spirit ignited, thunderous explosions erupted, overwhelming the battalion before they could even utter a word of defiance. How could there still be bombs? They all recoiled in shock. Han Li smirked, his voice cold as he declared, I forgot to mention, the tunnel entrances are laden with explosives. One touch, and they detonate. To avoid elimination, lay down your weapons and come out with your hands on your heads, and I shall spare you. The soldiers were left bewildered. What? Is this a threat? The live stream audience erupted in chaos. How can we resist without me? This is worse than a catastrophe. Hanli replied, I'm sorry. But you are all surrounded by me alone. Such arrogance. I admire it. Officer Mu Mu observed the fallen comrades around him, seething with a desire for vengeance against Han Li, yet he sighed and began tallying the casualties. Soon, a soldier rushed over, trembling as he reported, Officer Mu Mu. We lost nearly 60 men. As he delivered the news, his voice quivered. Officer Mu Mu felt a wave of weakness wash over him, collapsing to the ground, supported only by others. He clutched his forehead, tears welling in his eyes as he murmured, This shouldn't be. How could this happen? The loss of over 60 men from their ranks felt like a thunderclap striking the hearts of the others. Outside, Han Li remained composed, repeating, Surrender, and you shall not be harmed. A ninja questioned, Is this some sort of criminal show? It feels like a battlefield. One person has annihilated an entire squad. Such thoughts are unfathomable. Perhaps he is a war god. The ninja swallowed hard, relieved to be on the same side. What should we do? I suggest we fight to the death. The Blue Demon King, wielding a samurai sword, possessed piercing eyes, unfazed by the circumstances. Shall we cast our votes? Suggested the Yellow Demon King, a conservative director who deemed the deployment of police resources here a frivolous endeavor. The support and opposition stood equal, leaving only Officer Mu Mu in the balance. Brother Mu Mu? The weight of decision rested upon Officer Mu Mu's shoulders. He surveyed the crowd, aware of the profound impact his choice would hold upon the entire situation. Ninjas surged forth like arrows, darting through the streets. Quick, they're heading that way. A smirk curled on his lips, perfect for a pincer maneuver. He cannot escape this fate. That cursed Han Li. The elite ninjas of Ingzhou swiftly advanced towards the tunnel's exit, but halted in unison, taken aback by the sight before them. The area was congested with vehicles. Which one contains Han Li? No idea. Search them. Thus, these top-tier ninjas commenced a rapid search for the concealed Han Li among the convoy. Time was of the essence. Han Li, undeterred, triggered explosives within the tunnel once more. Boom. The onlookers watched in horror as a small team was propelled skyward by the shockwave, their eyelids twitching in disbelief. Baka, are you serious? This guy has gone mad. Make a decision, Brother Mu Mu. Officer Mu Mu recognized that this was the critical moment for their entire team. He clenched his fists, his teeth gritted in determination. Just then, the informant he had previously contacted sent another message. Coordinated efforts to capture Han Li were underway. Officer Mu Mu's eyes brightened with hope. Listen up, everyone. We have our people outside. If we can restrain Han Li, we can charge out, turning our disadvantage into an advantage, encircling the isolated Han Li. We will break the deadlock. The other directors ignited with newfound hope. Have the remaining bomb disposal team inspect every explosive within the tunnel. Once the moment is right, we charge out. The bomb disposal team sprang into action. Outside, Han Li tapped at his screen, noting that these individuals seemed to be mobilizing, planning to defuse the bombs. Are we? On the screen, bomb disposal experts clad in protective gear scoured for the explosives. I won't let you succeed so easily. In the next instant, with deft fingers, he manipulated his phone and, with a tap, plunged the tunnel into darkness as all lights extinguished abruptly, akin to flames being snuffed out. Nanny? What is happening? This is bad. Officer Mu Mu's face blanched. Han Li had rendered their visibility null. At this moment, the tunnel was steeped in gloom, and chaos ensued among the officers as they lost track of one another. Simultaneously, the bomb disposal experts were taken aback. Baka, how do we defuse this? To make matters worse, Han Li triggered several explosives within the tunnel, resulting in an explosion that eliminated a number of officers, who were now splattered with colored powder. I don't have time to wait for you to take another 3 minutes. I will detonate all the explosives and obliterate the entire tunnel. That should be quite exhilarating. The onlookers erupted in panic. You're going to blow it up just like that? No way. Officer Mu Mu, in a state of anxious urgency, sought to buy time outside, feigning agreement. All right, we surrender. Mu Mu, you coward. Shoo, it's all part of the plan. Moments later, the directors joined in, crying out, We surrender, you fools, we surrender. The little ones brandished white handkerchiefs in a display of capitulation. Ha ha, is that all it takes to surrender? Goodness, a single General Han has them panicking. What an epic victory this is. In earlier times, such a feat would have earned General Han a promotion to Major General. Unbeknownst to the netizens of Huaxia, this was merely a ruse orchestrated by the enemy. They were lost in jubilant celebration. The ninja, bewildered, exclaimed, Is this truly a surrender? What of your dignity? Cowards. Han Li, resting his chin on his hand, observed with an air of understanding, It's a feigned surrender. What? It was merely a ploy to confound us and buy time for their escape. Notice how the little ones are moving so sluggishly, obviously stalling. The nearby surveillance cameras had been repurposed to observe another location, revealing a group of unwelcome guests in search of this place. It was those masters. The ninjas were taken aback. Were they attempting to coordinate an inside-outside attack? Han Li tucked away his phone. Indeed, we are in peril. Given the speed of these elite ninjas, it would take mere minutes for them to locate their armored vehicles. At that moment, a throng from the tunnel would surge forth, encircling them under an overwhelming barrage of firepower. Any strategy would crumble under such pressure, including his own. Chapter 141. Not good. Their true target is not us. It's coming soon. It's almost here. Officer Moo Moo rallied the numerous police officers forging ahead in the darkness. A faint glimmer of light flickered in the pitch-black tunnel. The little ones followed Officer Moo Moo's directives. His capabilities were indisputable. He was the only one among them not a director, which spoke volumes of his prowess. Outside, the top ninjas suddenly spotted their target. They did not act rashly but rather surrounded them with calculated precision, subtly restraining Han Li. Found you, you bastard. Kill him. Not so fast. He sent a message to the team within the tunnel, informing them that the target had been located and commenced the containment operation. Ding dong. When Officer Moo Moo received the message, he was elated. This signaled the commencement of their counterattack. The counter-encirclement operation had begun. Han Li has been restrained. The bomb disposal team, get to work. Meanwhile, the broadcast continued to echo Han Li's impatient demands, while the little ones were overjoyed. This fool has no idea of the impending disaster. Within the ancient city, atop a high tower, Han Li played a looped message while he and the ninja surveyed the entire ancient city. With the aid of Eagle Eye, he could see the top ninjas blocking the armored vehicles, akin to watching lively koi in a pond. What the hell? General Han isn't inside the vehicle. Bewildered. The little ones wondered, what is he up to? They simply could not fathom Han Li's thought process. The little ones were utterly at a loss. In the previous moment, he was still within the armored vehicle, and in the next, he had shifted his destination, as if he had anticipated every move of the enemy. Did you think you had confounded me? Incorrect. It is you who has been deceived by General Han. The ninja, arms crossed, inquired, why abandon the vehicle? Because my objective has never been the tunnel. Han Li leaned against the railing, savoring the warm breeze. This competition still had about an hour and a half remaining. Do you intend to merely endure the time to secure victory? The ninja could think of nothing else. Han Li shook his head. Inside the tunnel, the crowd of onlookers was fervently shouting to defeat the ruthless bandit. Officer Moo Moo seized the opportunity, leading a large contingent towards the exit. Once outside, victory would be nearly assured. Regardless of how clever you may be, Han Li, with so many of us and so many guns, how will you escape? Officer Moo Moo. It's almost time. The dawn of victory is within sight. At that moment, Officer Moo Moo felt an inexplicable urge to shout a few phrases and thus exclaimed, "Open the gate! Open the gate!" Now, the entire team had emerged. Han Li, you may as well await your demise. Meanwhile, the production team of Yingzhou, having been nearly frightened to death by Han Li, wondered if he would truly annihilate an entire army single-handedly. Fortunately, a mysterious team of ninjas emerged, altering the tide of the situation. The two sides executed a coordinated effort, reversing the circumstances. Quick, resume the broadcast. This is bound to be entertaining. Indeed, the previously paused program resumed, and countless viewers in Yingzhou, witnessing their impending victory, erupted in cheers of Yingzhou invincible. The ratings soared to alarming heights. Next, all that remained was to witness Han Li being tethered like a defeated dog by countless officers from Yingzhou. The director exclaimed, I can hardly contain my excitement. On screen, as the officers illuminated the tunnel, fully armed and unimpeded, they successfully stormed out of the hellish passage. Over there, at that very moment, the onlookers realized the armored vehicle was encircled by mysterious figures clad in black, wearing sinister masks. Who are you? Special Forces. Ah, understood. This armored vehicle was an old model, entirely sealed with no windows, leaving only an entrance beneath the Gatling gun. The ninjas, cautious by nature, refrained from approaching hastily for fear of being swept away by gunfire, merely surrounding the vehicle. Fool, did you think hiding in an armored vehicle would render you invincible? Han Li, you cowardly turtle. The onlookers had never harbored such animosity towards anyone in their lives. Soon, the large group completely encircled the armored vehicle. And having learned from past experiences, they dispatched specialists to eliminate the possibility of explosives nearby. This time, it was foolproof. There would be no unexpected attacks. The chief reassured Officer Moo Moo. Han Li was now isolated and defenseless, left to await his fate within the armored vehicle. Officer Moo Moo nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. Good. Cover me. We must force Han Li out. Officer Moo Moo, accompanied by several specially equipped officers and a few skilled snipers, cautiously approached the armored vehicle, probing its interior with utmost care. Hey, toss me a grenade, chuckled Xiao Ri, swiftly acquiring one. With remarkable speed, he lifted the hood and hurled the grenade inside before slamming it shut. In an instant, a deafening explosion erupted, resonating throughout the vicinity. The armored vehicle trembled slightly as the jubilant crowd exclaimed, Ha ha ha! Han Li is eliminated. We have triumphed. At last, we have fulfilled the Emperor's mission. The officers embraced one another, convinced that this detonation had certainly spelled doom for Han Li, who was presumed to be in tears over his misfortune. Countless citizens of Yingzhou erupted in cheers, celebrating Han Li's apparent downfall. The director of the Yingzhou program raised his fist in triumph. Yes, Han Li has fallen in our land. At that moment, Officer Moo Moo finally exhaled in relief and approached the armored vehicle, addressing it. Han Li, it's over. Your endurance thus far has been commendable. I shall honor you as the most formidable outlaw. However, there was no response from the vehicle. Officer Moo Moo glanced at the other leaders and reiterated, stop pretending, Han Li. It's all right to be eliminated. Come out. Yet still, silence prevailed. The ninja assassins exchanged worried glances, sensing something amiss. One ninja leaped atop the vehicle and, in front of everyone, lifted the hood. The next moment, his expression froze. A furious shout erupted, Baka! There's no one inside. No Han Li. The revelation stunned the gathered crowd, including Officer Moo Moo. No Han Li. A report came in from the bomb disposal team leader, who rushed to share findings. Our specialists have confirmed that there is no substantial explosive material in the tunnel. It was depleted in the last wave. The crowd fell into a state of bewilderment. What? The explosives in the tunnel are gone. Baka. The voice we heard from Han Li was pre-recorded and on a loop, not a real person. Expressions of shock spread among the citizens of Yingzhou and the director alike. What on earth? This is utterly unfathomable. Suddenly, Officer Moo Moo raised his head, a cold sweat breaking out as he surveyed his surroundings. This is bad. His true objective is not us. Chapter 142. Cutting off the escape route. The minister of Yingzhou is alarmed. The netizens of Yingzhou pondered. Who else could Han Li's target be besides the officers? Panic began to permeate the air as confusion reigned. At this moment, the remaining forces led by Officer Moo Moo felt utterly helpless in the face of Han Li's mysterious disappearance, as though every move they made was being silently monitored by him. Baka, where is he? Damn it, show yourself, Han Li. I can't take it anymore. Even some police captains could no longer endure the suffocating atmosphere and broke down in tears. It was truly overwhelming. The expressions of the directors also darkened, as they subconsciously began to cultivate a growing fear of Han Li. The elite ninja corps, however, remained unfazed. They exchanged a brief greeting with Officer Moo Moo before vanishing to pursue Han Li alone. Meanwhile, Officer Moo Moo, calming his mind, pondered who Han Li's true target was. Suddenly, he recalled a phone call from the minister before the disaster struck. This was dire. Han Li's objective was the minister. What? The directors nearly lost their wits. Incredulous at the absurdity. Has Han Li gone mad? Within the ancient city, apart from the group pursuing Han Li, there was also a command center established at a concealed location. This was their core, and the minister was their supreme commander. In other words, they could afford to lose anyone but the minister. Should he be eliminated, it would be catastrophic. The entire Yingzhou police system would suffer immense damage. How could we have overlooked this? The command center's location is exceedingly difficult to locate. How could Han Li possibly find it? Officer Moo Moo's complexion darkened as he spoke. Unless the minister actively reveals himself. The directors paused, realizing this was not impossible. Let us not forget. The minister had previously called for us to retreat, evidently anticipating our peril, and would certainly rush to provide support. This played right into Han Li's trap. Director? Xiao Rizi. Damn, it was unfathomable. Our vast contingent of over 200 individuals was seen by Han Li merely as bait. What arrogance. Even international criminals cannot compare to his audacity. The more a director thought about it, the more fearful he became. If such a person were to get serious, how many Yingzhou lives would be lost? Without further ado, let us call the minister at the command post and warn him not to fall into the trap. Officer Moo Moo shouted loudly, hoping it was not too late. However, when he attempted to make the call, there was no response. The signal was entirely cut off. It was Han Li. How could this be tolerated? Officer Moo Moo retrieved a map and marked a location, the Flower Sea Long Bridge, where the minister was likely to arrive. The situation was urgent. They all hastened towards the Flower Sea Long Bridge, determined to prevent the minister from being eliminated. At the Flower Sea Long Bridge, numerous police vehicles rushed towards the scene. The minister adjusted his glasses and, realizing he could not contact Officer Moo Moo, understood that something had gone awry. He immediately made the decision to bring nearly 50 officers left at the command center to support Officer Moo Moo and his team. How is the radio? Damn it. It's completely ineffective. Minister, their technology is overwhelming us. These are some of the top hackers in Yingzhou, yet they were utterly crushed before Han Li, Minister. Minister, ahead lies the Long Bridge, which can only accommodate a few police vehicles side by side. This will consume more time. A police captain reported. And before their eyes, a renowned scenic spot within the ancient city was revealed. The Flower Sea Long Bridge, constructed from marble, is an old bridge infused with Yingzhou's flavor. Spanning across a lake teeming with koi fish, surrounded by blooming cherry blossoms, the moment is exquisite. The minister, in a peculiar state, retrieves a mirror to inspect his eyes, only to discover that his left eyelid is twitching uncontrollably. Steady yourself, minister, he mutters as the police vehicle traverses the long bridge. Yet, an increasing sense of unease gnaws at him, a feeling that something is amiss. Stop the car. The others, puzzled by the minister's sudden agitation, watch as he opens the door and steps out alone. He crouches down, gazing intently at the faint tire marks that appear on the bridge. These wet tracks could not have been made by Moo Moo and his companions, implying that someone has gotten ahead of them. This instinctive alertness surges within him. Suddenly, He lifts his head and follows the tire marks to the end of the path, where a figure emerges, masked and seemingly like a dragon concealed in fog. Observing them from above, as the others ponder the identity of this enigmatic figure, a stealthy ninja, adhering to the plan, approaches from behind bearing explosives, detonating them at the opposite end of the bridge. A thunderous explosion ensues, startling everyone as they turn to see plumes of smoke rising from the entrance. Their escape route has been severed. What transpired? The rear has been blown up? Panic ensues as the call for silence echoes. The enemy is upon us, fully armed. The minister commands, and all officers promptly draw their weapons, loading bullets with a synchronized precision, aiming at the looming figure ahead. Hanli, clutching a smoke grenade, releases it, enveloping the area in a thick haze that obscures the officer's vision. Damn it, I can't see him. One officer exclaims. Minister, stay here. I'll fetch that bastard's head. A brave officer, the renowned Special Forces soldier from Ingzhou, charges forward without hesitation. However, just a few steps in, a loud explosion erupts, and the onlookers witness him being blasted skyward, plummeting into the adjacent lake, creating a splash. There are bombs. Tension escalates among the group. At that moment, Hanli seizes a megaphone and addresses the minister on the bridge, declaring, "Don't move, or you'll die." This is in Huaxia language. The sole individual in this ancient city who speaks Huaxia is none other than that man. Hanli. The bystanders are bewildered. How did he arrive here? The minister stands in shock. No, you shouldn't be dealing with Mu and the others. Not only the minister, but even the viewers of Han Li's live stream are left astounded. What in the world is happening? Could someone please explain? Han Li's objective is not the officers, but rather the highest commander from Ingzhou in this competition. The minister quickly grasps the gravity of the situation. A chill running down his spine. This Huaxiao individual is deliberately luring him out, feigning an attack on Officer Mu while actually targeting him. He intends to eliminate me? This madman. No one would have imagined that someone playing the role of a criminal would audaciously aim for the upper echelons. How dare he? Hanli, perhaps we could engage in a discussion. The minister commanded his subordinates to protect him, shouting at the bridgehead. A negotiation? However, Hanli paid him no heed. For, on the other side, he was met by a few unwelcome guests. Surrounding Han Li were pairs of eyes brimming with murderous intent. As black-clad ninjas emerged from the shadows, top-tier ninjas had caught up with him. A vast net was already prepared. A sinister chuckle echoed ominously. The ninja assassins seemed poised to sharpen their blades, ready to pounce. Chapter 143, Top-tier ninjas? What a joke, a single blow will suffice. The elite ninjas could follow traces to locate their target, and no one could evade them. A top-tier ninja from Ingzhou licked the tip of his blade. Hanli, did you not foresee this? This was their first appearance before Hanli. He must be utterly terrified. Yet, Hanli did not exhibit a hint of panic. Instead, he inexplicably procured a chair and sat down, completely disregarding them. Baka, seeking death. One ninja, having never endured such humiliation, vanished without a trace. This was ninjutsu. Countless netizens from Ingzhou witnessed this scene, their excitement palpable. It was indeed ninjutsu. At a ninjutsu dojo somewhere in Ingzhou, the headmaster, Fukawa, along with his disciples, watched in astonishment. Master, why can't I see his movements clearly? Could it be that he is on par with the headmaster? Baka, of course he is. The headmaster, fidgeting in his seat, eyes wide with astonishment, felt his heart racing. This was no mere equal, not even he could discern the movements. Such agility was undoubtedly that of a top-tier ninja, the pinnacle of their craft. Was this Huaxia man doomed? One disciple scoffed. Hee, do not forget. Han Li is also skilled in ninjutsu. Oh right, that is indeed an exhilarating technique. I still have that little Peppa Pig mask. All the disciples believed that such ninjas were hardly a match for Han Li. However, the headmaster solemnly declared, no, Han Li is surely doomed. Are you aware of the Wind Ghost Brigade? A chill ran down the spines of the many disciples. That was the Emperor's personal guard. Killing invisibly was the aspiration of countless ninjas, a divine existence. Are you saying these individuals are from the Wind Ghost Brigade? Ah, how terrifying. That was a unit known for mercilessly slaying anyone in their path. An internationally feared brigade sent by the Emperor to eliminate an ordinary Huaxia citizen? Although Han Li's performance was extraordinary, it was ultimately a spectacle. How could it possibly compare to the secretive forces of reality? It was akin to wielding a butcher's knife to slice an ant. The headmaster crossed his arms. Against this brigade, I could only withstand for a second. The disciples unanimously believed Han Li was finished. As a ninja from the Wind Ghost Brigade made his move, Han Li stood motionless, leading the onlookers to believe he was utterly oblivious. The ninja flickered continuously, appearing as if he could traverse distances in an instant, an unfathomable sight. A dart, swifter than a bullet, grazed Han Li's cheek, drawing forth a few drops of blood. For the first time, Han had been injured. The audience in the live stream felt a sudden surge of anxiety. Ha ha ha, can you not see me? The ninja was toying with Han Li, incessantly launching darts. Blood smeared across Han's face, his hands, and his garments as he wiped away the crimson droplets. These were merely superficial wounds. He gazed at the nimble ninja before him and took a step forward. This step was rather unremarkable, so much so that the other ninjas paid it no heed. However, just as the top-tier ninja prepared to strike again, Han Li suddenly appeared before him. What? In the next moment, Han raised his arm, clenched his fist, and swung down with great force. Bang! The ninja was struck with such vigor that it seemed half of his body shrank, before crashing heavily to the ground. Humph! Han muttered, returning to his chair and picking up the megaphone, resuming his conversation with Minister Ing Zhou from Chanqiao. The other ninjas present were left in a state of bewilderment. What just happened? The number 3 ninja, who had been so boastful moments ago, was now utterly defeated? Impossible. The live stream audience erupted in excitement. Han Li for the win. Han Li remarked, just a single blow. Incredible. The top-tier ninja was utterly stunned by my prowess. This script is off. I bow before you, Brother Han. The audience could hardly contain their